Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
Ion Kwan's sudden shout caused the people who were concealed at a corner outside the courtyard to be unable to hide any longer, and thus they simply walked out in the open. Xiao Yu's brows slightly frowned. Duan Ling Tian's expression remained tranquil, as if it wasn't the least bit unexpected to him. Luo Hu, Luo Qian, you two have been surveilling me. Seeing the two of them caused Luo Qian to be so angry that her face went slightly pale. 1. Luo Qian, this is the Patriarch's orders. The two Luo clan youths had tranquil expressions. Luo Qian took a deep breath and ignored the two of them before looking at Duan Ling Tian and Xiao Yu. You both are my brother's friends? But my brother's gone to Iron Blood City and hasn't returned yet. Duan Ling Tian and Xiao Yu looked at each other with bitter smiles on the corners of their mouths. They really couldn't bear to break the news about Luo Cheng to Luo Qian, but they knew that Luo Qian would find out sooner or later. Luo Qian, this is the letter your brother left for you. Duan Ling Tian withdrew Luo Cheng's will and passed it over to Luo Qian. Luo Qian's face was ghastly pale as she received the letter with trembling hands, seeming to have realized something as she opened and read it. Unknowingly, tears had started pouring from her eyes like waterfalls. Big brother, I told you the genius camp's training was dangerous. Why didn't you listen? How am I supposed to live without you? Luo Cheng's dead? The pupils of the two Luo clan young men constricted. You have our condolences. Duan Ling Tian and Xiao Yu consoled her. Luo Qian's delicate figure slightly trembled and twitched for a few moments before finally asking, Your big brother Ling Tian? Yes. Duan Ling Tian nodded. My big brother said I should listen to you from now on. Luo Qian cried as she spoke. We came today to take you away from the Luo clan. This is also your brother's wish. Duan Ling Tian lightly smiled. According to the agreement between him and our Luo clan, since he's dead and unable to obtain the qualifications to enter Paladin Academy, then Luo Qian must obey our Luo clan's arrangements and marry the Qian clan's young master, and thus unite our two clans in marriage. No one can take her away. The two Luo clan young men took a step forward and stared fiercely at Duan Ling Tian's group of three. No one can stop me from taking her away. Duan Ling Tian sneered with a domineering expression. Whoosh! Xiao Yu was even more straightforward as he directly took a step forward before his figure jerked. Sleeve dimension. Xiao Yu flicked his sleeve that was bursting with origin energy and directly blasted the two Luo clan young men away. K off. On the way here, Xiao Yu had learned of Luo Cheng's unfulfilled wish from Duan Ling Tian. Luo Cheng didn't desire for his sister to become the Luo clan's tool to unite their clan with the Qin clan in marriage, and this was precisely the reason why he joined the genius camp. Everything Luo Cheng did was for the sake of his sister. The will he wrote Duan Ling Tian was to ask Duan Ling Tian to help him save his sister by taking her away from the Luo clan and providing her with a stable life. 4th level of the core formation stage. The two Luo clan young men's expressions turned grim when they noticed the 6 ancient mammoth silhouettes above Xiao Yu. They glanced at each other and left in a sorry state. Pack up your things and leave with us. Duan Ling Tian smiled to Luo Qian. Luo Qian nodded as her tears uncontrollably poured out, but when she thought of what Luo Cheng wrote within his will, she wiped off her tears and put on a strong and resolute expression. She wanted to be strong and not let her big brother down. I'll help you. Xiao Yu followed Luo Qian into her room. With Xiao Yu's help, it wasn't long before Luo Qian had packed away all her things. Duan Ling Tian took the lead with Xiong Quan following right behind him, and Xiao Yu and Luo Qian followed from behind. The group of 4 made their way towards the exit of the Luo clan estate, but when they arrived at the main door, 3 figures stood there like guardians of the way. One was a middle-aged man, and the other 2 were old men. Patriarch. Seeing the middle-aged man caused Luo Qian's face to turn pale. Luo Qian, I'll give you a chance. You stay and I'll let them leave. If you don't, then they will undoubtedly die. The middle-aged man's eyes flashed with a trace of a cold light. Luo Qian's face went pale, and she struggled for a moment before finally looking at Duan Ling Tian and Xiao Yu. Thank you for taking care of my big brother. Leave without me. After the patriarch and the 2 elders appeared, She realized that it was impossible for Duanling Tian to take her away. As far as she was concerned, Duanling Tian and Xiao Yu were her big brother's friends, and thus she was unwilling to implicate them. In her heart, she was ready to die. Once Duanling Tian and Xiao Yu had smoothly left, she would choose to take her own life. Her brother wasn't here anymore, so she didn't have any ties in this world. Big brother, I'll come accompany you really soon. I would rather die than marry that Qin clan's profligate disciple. Luo Qin's heart flashed with a trace of melancholy. Xiao Yu's face sank as his cold and indifferent gaze descended upon the Luo clan's patriarch. I'm the grandson of the Aurora City's Xiao clan's supreme elder. If you have any sense, then hurry up and scram. Aurora City's Xiao clan? The Luo clan patriarch started laughing. It isn't the place for your Aurora City's clan to meddle in our Luo clan's affairs. Elders, see our guests out.
Yes.
Immediately, the two elders that were standing behind the patriarch moved, flashing straight towards Duanling Tian, Xiao Yu, and Xiong Quan. Above each of the two old men, 20 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared. First level of the origin core stage. Xiao Yu's expressions distorted. Xiong Quan. Duanling Tian finally spoke, and his voice was incomparably cold and indifferent. Humph. Two first-level core formation martial artists dare to be presumptuous in front of my liege. K off. Xiong Quan grunted coldly as he moved forward swiftly, blasting the two Luo clan elders away with a slap each and causing them to be knocked out cold after they crashed onto the ground. Above Xiong Quan, 40 ancient mammoth silhouettes flickered before vanishing. Third level of the origin core stage. The Luo clan patriarch's expression went grim, and his gaze was filled with a cold fierceness as he walked out in large strides. Above him, 40 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared as well. Ignorant. Duanling Tian's expression turned cold. Xiong Quan, cripple him. Yes, my liege. Xiong Quan moved, but he seemed to have moved entirely from one point to another with only a single step. Earth-heaven warp. Whoosh. A green sword light flashed by, and then a shrill cry was heard. The Luo clan's patriarch knelt on the ground before his entire body crashed onto the ground, as his body had lost all support. Blood sprayed out from all four of his limbs. The tendons in both his hands and legs were severed. As the Luo clan's patriarch lied on all fours, he raised his head to see the 49 ancient mammoth silhouettes that flickered above Xiong Quan before vanishing at almost the same moment. He said, with a shaky voice, 7. Grade 7 spirit weapon. In the end, the Luo clan patriarch lost too much blood and fainted. Patriarch. The two Luo clan young men that went to deliver the news earlier were standing nearby, and when they saw this scene, they were scared to the point that their legs shook and their faces went ghastly pale. Duanling Tian's cold gaze swept past the two of them. I already said this earlier. No one can stop me from taking her away. Let's go. Only after Duanling Tian's group left the Luo clan estate were the two Luo clan young men finally be able to react. Their ears echoed with the domineering words of the violet-clothed youth. No one can stop me from taking her away. When they heard this for the first time, they thought that the youth was arrogant and conceited, but now it would seem that the youth was actually confident. Outside of the Luo clan estate, Duanling Tian jumped up onto his horse. Xiao Yu, on the other hand, pulled Luo Qin up onto his horse. He held her in his arms as he galloped. Seeing this caused the corners of Duanling Tian's mouth to flash with a smile, as he had long ago noticed Xiao Yu's gaze flicker with a strange light. It would seem that Xiao Yu had feelings for Luo Qin. It was better this way, as at the very least Luo Qin would have someone to rely on. If Luo Cheng was aware in the afterlife, he would finally be able to rest at ease. On the way, Xiao Yu's gaze had never once left Xiong Quan. He wasn't clear of Xiong Quan's background. All he knew was that since they left Iron Blood City, this middle-aged man who wore a mask that covered half his face had always followed Duanling Tian and even addressed Duanling Tian as his liege. At the moment Xiong Quan noticed the two Luo clan young men, Xiao Yu became aware of how Xiong Quan was no simple person. And when Xiong Quan exerted the strength of the third level of the origin core stage, and even withdrew a grade 7 spirit weapon out of the air. He was utterly dumbstruck. This Xiong Quan actually had a spatial ring. As for the grade 7 spirit weapon, even his grandfather, the Shao clan's supreme elder, in existence at the nascent soul stage, did not possess one. Duan Ling Tian, Xiao Yu spurred his horse closer to Duan Ling Tian before asking in a low voice. Duan Ling Tian's brows slightly knit as he indifferently said, "He's my servant." Servant? The corners of Xiao Yu's mouth twitched. Even Luo Qian, whose tears had not dried yet, seemed to have forgotten her grief for a moment and had an astonished expression. This person, whose strength was even stronger than the Luo clan patriarchs, was actually Duan Ling Tian's servant? Who the heck was this friend of her brother's? Her heart trembled slightly. Duan Ling Tian was fairly satisfied with the strength Xiong Quan had recovered as of current, and based on the current circumstances, when the medicinal strength of the second spirit cleansing pill manifests 1 month from now, Xiong Quan should be able to recover his strength to at least the 7th level of the origin core stage. In 2 months, once the third spirit cleansing pill's medicinal strength manifests, it will be sufficient for Xiong Quan's strength to recover to the nascent soul stage. As far as Duan Ling Tian was concerned, the current Xiong Quan was like a sharp blade in his hand. Anyone who dared stand in his way would be bound to die beneath this sharp blade of his. Xiao Yu's gaze was complicated, as he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Why is there such a huge difference between two people? Not to mention Duan Ling Tian's natural talent being superior to his. Now even his servant was in existence at the origin core stage. This caused Xiao Yu to feel slightly disturbed. Before long, he was able to come to terms with the matter. As far as he was concerned, Duan Ling Tian was a freak and could not be looked at from a normal person's perspective. After half a month's time of traveling, Aurora City finally appeared before Duan Ling Tian's group. "I'm home." Duan Ling Tian's heart trembled. "Mom, I'm home." "Ku Er, I'm home." "Little Fei, I'm home." Xiao Yu's eyes flickered with the brilliance of excitement as well. Duan Ling Tian glanced at Xiao Yu as he asked, "Xiao Yu, you take care of Luo Qian from now on. How about it?" "No problem." Xiao Yu nodded. Duan Ling Tian then glanced at Luo Qian and lightly smiled. "Little Qian, Xiao Yu is someone worthy of you relying upon. I believe that he will take good care of you and give you a carefree life." After half a month's time, Luo Qian had recovered quite a bit. Hearing Duan Ling Tian's words, which had a hidden meaning, caused her face was to go slightly red, and she was at a loss for words as she nodded. "Yes, big brother Ling Tian." "Xiao Yu." Duan Ling Tian looked at Xiao Yu with a serious expression. "From the moment Luo Cheng entrusted Luo Qian's care to me, I've taken her to be my own little sister. Now I'm giving her to you, and I will absolutely not let you off if you let her suffer any injustice." "Don't worry." Xiao Yu nodded with a serious expression, and his eyes flashed with a trace of gratitude. He knew that Duan Ling Tian had long since seen through his thoughts and was helping him. After parting ways with Xiao Yu and Luo Qian, Duan Ling Tian tossed over some silver to Xiong Quan and sent him to stay in an inn. Then he returned to the Li clan estate by himself. Duan Ling Tian? On his way, all of the Li clan disciples that saw him seemed as if they had seen a ghost. Duan Ling Tian has returned? Oh my god. He actually returned from the demonic genius camp. The entire Li clan estate was stirred for some time. The matter of Duan Ling Tian entering the Iron Blood Army's genius camp had long since spread around the entire Li clan, and thus many people had knowledge of this. However, never had they imagined that Duan Ling Tian would be able to return alive. All of them were aware of what returning alive represented. It meant that Duan Ling Tian had obtained the qualifications to enter Paladin Academy. Paladin Academy was the most sacred existence in the entire Crimson Sky Kingdom, and to every Li clan disciple, it was something unreachable. But now their Li clan actually had someone who obtained the qualification to enter Paladin Academy. This was undoubtedly a piece of news that inspired them greatly. In the quiet courtyard, a graceful and beautiful young girl was cultivating the sword. The edge of her sword flashed as strands of an icy cold aura was emitted from the blade. Abruptly, The young girl sheathed her sword and stood still before looking at the two little pythons that were coiled on her wrist. She sighed before saying, "Young master has been gone for 1 year and 1 month. Why hasn't he returned yet? Little black, little white, do you too miss him?" "They don't miss me as much as my Ku'er does." Just at this moment, a familiar voice entered the young girl's ears, causing her delicate figure to tremble uncontrollably as he slowly turned her body around. "My Ku'er's grown up?" Duanling Tian gazed at the slim and graceful young girl who had now grown slightly taller, and some of the childishness on her face had slightly shed off. Nothing was more amazing than how fast a girl's appearance changes as she grows. "Young master." The young girl's eyes turned slightly red. At this moment, she forgot all about any formalities as she rushed swiftly and gracefully towards Duanling Tian. Duanling Tian opened his arms wide and pulled the young girl into his embrace. He inhaled the fresh fragrance off the young girl's hair as he said, in a gentle tone, "Ku-er, I'm back?" The young girl nodded, unwilling to leave Duanling Tian's embrace even after a long time had passed. She hoped so dearly that this moment could be eternal. Creak. Just at this moment, the nearby room's door opened. "Tian, you're back?" A beautiful woman whose face radiated with joy walked out slowly. A trace of excitement flashed within her clear eyes. "Mom, I'm back." When Duanling Tian looked at the woman, his eyes emitted a gentle stream of light. The young girl was so shy that she left Duanling Tian's embrace. Madam." "Silly girl, what are you shy about?" Li Ro shook her head with a smile. "Yeah, Ku-er, you're my fiancé. So what's there to be shy about?" Duanling Tian asked. A year had passed, but his mother didn't experience any great changes and was still as beautiful as ever, not even slightly showing that she was the mother of a 17-year-old youth. "Scoundrel!" Suddenly, an excited voice sounded from outside the courtyard. Duanling Tian turned around, and with a glance noticed the hot figure that was dashing towards him. She flew straight into his embrace and started hammering his chest. "You rascal! You returned but didn't come see me. If it wasn't for me hearing about your return from the others, I wouldn't even have known you were back." Little Fei. It had been a year since they last met. Li Fei was even more mature and unceasingly emitted her charms, causing Duanling Tian's little brother, who was asleep for over a year, to react. Li Fei felt it as well and her face flushed. Only now did she realize that Ku-er and Li Ro were just beside them, so she hurriedly left Duanling Tian's embrace. "Aunt Ro, little sister Ku-er." Li Fei greeted Ku-er and Li Ro and was shy to the extent of wishing she could dig a hole and hide inside it. "Tian, are you hungry after traveling all day? Mom will go prepare some food for you." Li Ro entered the kitchen and started her work. Ku-er followed suit. Meanwhile, Li Fei looked at Duanling Tian. "Are you? See grandfather, right?" Duanling Tian interrupted Li Fei, as if he could see through Li Fei's thoughts. Li Fei lightly nodded. "Of course I have to go see him. I haven't been home for over a year, and I miss grandfather as well. What's more, you're already mine, so I naturally will be filial to grandfather with you." Duanling Tian held Li Fei's hand and pinched the center of her palm. Duanling Tian wasn't sure if he was seeing things or not, but when Li De saw him, he actually heaved a sigh of relief as if a huge burden was released from his heart. Could it be that he was worried that something would happen to Duanling Tian during the genius camp training? Duanling Tian didn't continue to ponder the matter. "Grandfather." Duanling Tian smiled to the old man. "It's good that you've returned. What are your plans for the future?" Li De asked. Meanwhile, Duanling Tian noticed that Li De's eyes had an extra sense of anticipation. "Grandfather, I'm prepared to leave in a few days. This time I'm planning on bringing my mom, Ku-er, and little Fei to the imperial city with me. Grandfather, why don't you follow us?" Duanling Tian spoke of his plans. Just like what Commander Tingyun Hai had said, if he wanted to use a wagon and bring his family along to the imperial city, it would require close to a year's time of travel due to all the rest stops on the way. As such, he didn't plan on staying for a long time after returning this time. "I'm not going. I'll spend the rest of my life in the Li clan." The old man shook his head. Li Fei pouted and said, in a spoiled manner, "Grandfather, if you don't go, then neither will I. Fei, you're all grown up now and aren't the little girl from before. Grandfather believes that Ling Tian will be good to you. Even if you leave now, can't you come back and see your grandfather when you're free? Don't worry, grandfather isn't so old that I need someone to wait upon me." The old man's face was filled with tender affection. "Grandfather." Li Fei's eyes were slightly red. Duan Ling Tian's gaze never left the old man's face. He had this feeling that something was not right, but he couldn't put his finger on it. "Grandfather, let's have dinner together," Duan Ling Tian said to the old man as he glanced at the darkening sky. "Okay, I'll have a meal at your house tonight." The old man laughed heartily. "Just the right moment for me to ask you about the Iron Blood Army's Genius Camps training. I'm really curious about it." Tonight's dinner was exceptionally bustling with noise and excitement. The old man was very interested in the Genius Camp, and Ku-er, Li Fei, and Li Ro were interested as well. Besides some of the more dangerous happenings, Duan Ling Tian told them about most of the things that happened during his year at the Genius Camp. Duan Ling Tian sighed when he spoke of Meng Quan's and Luo Cheng's deaths. A man's life eventually comes to an end, and thus a man's life will never be void of partings. You have to see past it all, moreover, you've already helped Luo Cheng fulfill his wishes, so he should be able to find his peace, the old man consoled. He had experienced many vicissitudes in life, and thus had the right to speak on the matter. "Don't worry, grandfather, I've seen past it all." Duan Ling Tian nodded. 98 people passed the initial Genius Camp test, but only 7 survived. The demonic Genius Camp really does deserve its name. Li Fei sighed. "Mom, you and Ku-er pack up in the next 2 days. I've decided to leave for the Imperial City 3 days from now," Duan Ling Tian said to Li Ro after finishing their dinner and sending Li Fei and the old man off. Li Ro nodded. She was long ago prepared for this and wasn't surprised. Subsequently, Duan Ling Tian started to tease the 2 little pythons. "Little black, little white, it's been a year. Have your strengths increased? You couldn't have stayed at the same strength, right?" The 2 little pythons seemed to have understood what Duan Ling Tian said, as they raised up their small heads and nodded to Duan Ling Tian. Meanwhile, Duan Ling Tian noticed that the horns on Little Black's and Little White's heads had nearly fully manifested themselves. "Looks like the 2 of you have improved greatly." Duan Ling Tian could guess the increase of their strengths just from the changes on their bodies. An increase in a fierce beast's strength was usually accompanied by a change in its physical characteristics, and this was from the Rebirth Martial Emperor's experience. At dawn the next day, Duan Ling Tian had only just finished his breakfast when an unexpected guest arrived. Patriarch Liao. "Duan Ling Tian, congratulations." Liao's face had a brilliant smile as he spoke. "Thank you, Patriarch." Duan Ling Tian lightly smiled as he replied. "This is a small token from the Li clan. I hope that once you arrived at Paladin Academy, you won't forget that you're also a member of the Li clan," Liao said as he passed a huge pile of silver to Duan Ling Tian. "Patriarch, I'm not someone who forgets his roots. You actually don't have to be so courteous." Although Duan Ling Tian spoke in this way, he still extended his hand and received the silver, which he estimated to be at least around 2 million silver. He naturally understood Liao's thoughts, which were to try and win him over at the early stages and make him feel himself to be a part of the Li clan. In this way, if he were to be able to make a name for himself in the future, the Li clan would benefit from it as well. This money will only be of use to you at this moment. In the future, it will probably be nothing. Liao sighed. No mediocre person ever graduated from Paladin Academy. Every one of them was a great figure, and even if they weren't as successful, they would still have a high position. At that time, Duan Ling Tian's status would be far from something a patriarch like him could compare to. "No matter what, I still have to thank Patriarch for the timely assistance with my travel needs," Duan Ling Tian said, with a smile. "When are you planning on leaving for the Imperial City?" Liao asked. "I plan to leave the day after tomorrow," Duan Ling Tian said. "So rushed?" Liao was surprised. "If it was just me galloping my horse to the Imperial City, a few months would be sufficient, but this time I will be taking my mother along, so I will travel with a wagon," Duan Ling Tian continued. "Then leave the wagon to me," Liao said. Then you have my gratitude, patriarch. A smile appeared on Duan Ling Tian's face. He was grateful from the bottom of his heart. After sending Liao off, Duan Ling Tian left the Li clan estate and went to the medicine store to look for Tang Ying. Kid, you came back alive at long last, Tang Ying derided. I think you looked forward to me being unable to return alive, right? Duan Ling Tian rolled his eyes at Tang Ying. When are you preparing to leave? Tang Ying asked the same question as Liao. Duan Ling Tian smiled as he said, I precisely came to tell you about this. I plan to leave the day after tomorrow. Since you're leaving, you'll surely take that girl with you. What about the 6 treasures body tempering liquid? Tang Ying looked at Duan Ling Tian with a burning gaze. How about you sell the medicinal formula to me? Not for sale. Duan Ling Tian replied in a straightforward manner. Although he had long ago expected this answer, Tang Ying still couldn't help himself from laughing bitterly. However, what Duan Ling Tian said next made Tang Ying's eyes shine brightly. I can't sell the medicinal formula to you, but I can teach you. However, you have to guarantee that I will obtain the same amount of profit share as before. In addition to that, you can't teach it to anyone else. Duan Ling Tian glanced deeply at Tang Ying. After feeling pleasantly surprised, Tang Ying asked, in a joking fashion, Aren't you afraid I'll kill you after I obtain the medicinal formula? But would you be willing to do so? There are a lot more good things in my possession. Who knows, we may even have another opportunity to cooperate in the future. You're a smart man, and thus should understand how stupid it is to kill a goose that lays golden eggs. Duan Ling Tian smiled as he spoke. You're a sly little fox, Tang Ying said angrily. Duan Ling Tian withdrew the medicinal formula he had prepared earlier and let Tang Ying memorize it before igniting a strand of pill fire and burning the formula into ashes. When did you become an alchemist? Seeing the pill fire on Duan Ling Tian's hand caused Tang Ying to be dumbstruck, as he didn't know that Duan Ling Tian was an alchemist. Duan Ling Tian withdrew the Grade 9 Alchemist crest that the Alchemist Guild provided and flashed it in front of Tang Ying. Then he strutted out of the medicine store under Tang Ying's stupefied gaze. How many more secrets does this kid have? Tang Ying suddenly felt that he really couldn't see through the youth even more as time passed on. After leaving the medicine store, Duan Ling Tian returned to the Li clan estate. He had only just entered his house's courtyard when he heard an anxious voice sounding from within. Although he couldn't discern the exact conversation, he was still able to discern the owner of the voice. Little fatty Li Xian. What's that kid doing here? Could it be that he was recommended to the main clan by the branch family? A smile appeared on Duan Ling Tian's face as he walked over. However, the depressed atmosphere in the courtyard caused him to feel a sense of seriousness. Boss. Little Fatty had an agitated expression when he noticed that Duan Ling Tian had returned. Li Xian, has something happened? Duan Ling Tian noticed that his mother's expression was unsightly and faintly perceived that something might have happened. Little Fatty's chubby face trembled as he said, with an agitated voice, Boss, the Grand Elder is dead. The Grand Elder that Little Fatty spoke of was obviously Grand Elder Li Hua from the Fresh Breeze Town branch family. What? Duan Ling Tian's face distorted, and his hands moved to grab Little Fatty's shoulder. What happened? How'd the Grand Elder die? He was extremely familiar with the Grand Elder's current condition, as he helped the Grand Elder remove his hidden injuries before. It was more than enough for the Grand Elders to live tens of years more with his current cultivation. Thus, there was only one possibility. The Grand Elder was killed by someone. Boss, it was the Fong clan. An old goat of the Fong clan returned and forced the Grand Elder to hand over the 6 treasures body tempering liquid's medicinal formula. Grand Elder would rather die than submit, so he was killed by him. Little Fatty's mood was extremely agitated as he spoke. Duan Ling Tian took a deep breath and asked, Fong family. The Fong family again. What's that old goat's cultivation level? He seemed to be a second-level origin core powerhouse. When he attacked out of rage, 30 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared above him. Little Fatty's face sank slightly. If it wasn't for him being afraid of the fact that our Li family was Aurora City's Li clan's branch family, our Fresh Breeze Town Li family would probably not exist anymore. The reason I came here this time was to see if the Li clan would be willing to take revenge for the Grand Elder, and if they're unwilling then, I'll go look for my grandfather. There's no need for the Li clan to do anything. I'll go with you. Duan Ling Tian's eyes went cold, and the air around him seemed to become slightly colder as well. But boss, that old goat's at the origin core stage. Little Fatty was somewhat hesitant. So what? Duan Ling Tian grunted coldly. Xiong Quan had already completely dissolved the medicinal strength of the second spirit cleansing pill, so his cultivation had recovered to the 9th level of the origin core stage. The Fong family old goat was only a 2nd level origin core martial artist, but even if he was also at the 9th level of the origin core stage, he would still die for sure. Xiong Quan was formerly at the void stage. Even if his cultivation was currently far from what it used to be, in terms of experience, how could any ordinary 9th level origin core martial artist compare to him? Moreover, even if you disregard this fact, just by relying on the grade 7 spirit weapon in his possession, there would absolutely be no martial artist below the nascent soul stage that would be a match for Xiong Quan across the entire Crimson Sky Kingdom. Mom, I'll be returning to Fresh Breeze Town for a while. I'll be back tomorrow, so I won't delay our travels. Tell Air for me. Duan Ling Tian notified his mother before grabbing Little Fatty's shoulder and bringing him along as he flashed out of the Li clan estate. All Little Fatty felt was a frightening whistling of the wind continuously blowing past his ears, causing him to be frightened to the point that his chubby face went pale. When he lifted his head and saw the scene in the sky above Duan Ling Tian, he felt completely dumbstruck. 9. The strength of 9 ancient mammoths. When did Boss become so strong? Little Fatty fiercely gulped down a mouthful of saliva. When Little Fatty noticed that Duan Ling Tian had stopped moving, only then did he realize that an inn had appeared before him. Boss, what did you bring me here for? The fatty had a puzzled expression. Wait here for me, Duan Ling Tian said to Little Fatty before entering the inn to look for Xiong Quan. Follow me. Yes, my liege. Xiong Quan didn't ask anything. He respectfully followed behind Duan Ling Tian. He could clearly feel that the voice of his liege was extremely depressed and was obviously restraining a shocking rage. I wonder which misfortunate soul actually dared to offend my liege. After Duan Ling Tian left the inn with Xiong Quan, he called Little Fatty along, bought 3 horses, and directly departed, rushing towards Fresh Breeze Town. Boss, who is he? An assistant you called over? Although Little Fatty was shocked at Duan Ling Tian's current strength, he obviously felt that the current Duan Ling Tian was absolutely not a match for that old goat. Now that he saw Xiong Quan, Little Fatty finally felt a sense of security in his heart. I'm his liege, Duan Ling Tian said lightly. Liege? Little Fatty's small eyes emitted a sense of doubt as he sized up Xiong Quan and galloped his horse forward. As far as he was concerned, a servant that could be subdued by Duan Ling Tian would surely not have a strength that was above Duan Ling Tian's. Boss, why don't we go look for my grandfather? Little Fatty asked. Trust me, I'll kick you off your horse if you say another word. Duan Ling Tian spurred his horse to move close to Little Fatty as he spoke. Boss, don't. Little Fatty's face went pale from fright as he hurriedly swung out the horse whip in his hand. Go! The group of 3 galloped their horses into Fresh Breeze Town. Fresh Breeze Town was bustling with noise and excitement as always, its roads filled with an unceasing stream of people and wagons. However, the Li family estate seemed to be slightly quiet, in a state of mourning. Duan Ling Tian took a deep breath as he entered the Li family estate with Little Fatty and Xiong Quan. The Li family members were currently gathered at the mourning hall. Duan Ling Tian walked in and with a glance saw that Patriarch Li Nanfeng and all the elders had faces full of grief as they took turns to burn joss sticks and respectfully bow at the altar. The Grand Elder's daughter that had been married off into another family had returned as well. She was kneeling down at the side with her children as she cried in grief. Duan Ling Tian. Before long, Li Nanfeng and the Li family elders noticed Duan Ling Tian. Although they should have been happy for his return, they just couldn't bring themselves to feel happy. The Grand Elder had passed away. The Li family's greatest strength had fallen. What would the Li family do from now on? Patriarch, elders. Duan Ling Tian nodded towards Li Nanfeng and the elders before taking a few steps forward, grabbing a few jaw sticks, and bowing towards Grand Elder Li Hua's memorial tablet. Grand Elder, you gave your entire life to the Li family and were willing to remain here at Fresh Breeze Town instead of moving up in the world. It must have been hard on you. Duan Ling Tian gazed at Li Hua's memorial tablet with an expression that seemed slightly agitated. Although he wasn't acquainted with Li Hua for long, Li Hua unceasingly helped him and tolerated his frivolous behavior. He had engraved all of this deeply within his heart. He always had a sense of respect and reverence for Li Hua. Grand Elder, don't worry. I'll take revenge for you. After today, and Fresh Breeze Town's Fong family will cease to exist. Duan Ling Tian respectfully placed the 3 jaw sticks in the incense jar. What Duan Ling Tian said in the end caused Li Nanfeng and the other Li clan elders to be moved. Based on their understanding of Duan Ling Tian, he wasn't the type of person who liked to boast. But what was he relying on? Xiong Quan, follow me. Duan Ling Tian's body trembled before 9 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form above him. Spirit Serpent Movement Technique. In the blink of the eye, Duan Ling Tian vanished before the eyes of everyone present in the morning hall. Xiong Quan followed like a shadow right behind him with 9 ancient mammoth silhouettes appearing above him as well. The strength of 9 ancient mammoths. Duan Ling Tian he. Li Nanfeng was stupefied. Even he, with his 6th level core formation cultivation, could only exert a force of 8 ancient mammoths at full strength. The elders of the Li clan were stupefied as well. The current Duan Ling Tian had completely exceeded their wildest imaginations. Patriarch, even if Duan Ling Tian's strength is close to the 7th level of the core formation stage, but it's still not enough for him to be that old goat's match. One of the Li family elders spoke out. Don't worry. Didn't all of you see that he had another person with him? Li Nanfeng obviously trusted Duan Ling Tian deeply. As far as he knew, Duan Ling Tian had never done anything he wasn't confident in. No matter whether it was the battle with 7th Elder Li Kuan's son, Li Jia, or the battle with the Fong family's manager, Fong Chong, they were both battles with endings that exceeded everyone's expectations. Patriarch, it isn't the same this time. Little fatty Li Xian had an anxious expression. Patriarch, I'm guessing that the person following boss had a cultivation similar to his and should not be a match for that old goat of the Fong clan. Why? Li Nanfeng was dazed. 4th Elder Li Ting looked at his son as well. What the heck is going on? Hurry up and speak. That person respectfully addresses boss as his liege and is the boss's servant. Do you all think that he? Li Xian had a bitter smile on his face. He hadn't even finished speaking before the expressions of Li Nanfeng and the Li clan elders all went grim. Let's go. Li Nanfeng took the lead and flashed out of the morning hall. The other Li family higher-ups followed in suit. That Duan Ling Tian kid is really too rash. Li Ting's expression sank. I even thought that the person he brought back would be strong enough to suppress that old goat of the Fong family. I never would have thought that he was only a servant. Li Nanfeng's voice was filled with worry. Hurry. If we're too late, then Duan Ling Tian will probably have no chance of surviving. Today our Li family will fight a bloody battle with the Fong family and take revenge for the Grand Elder. No regrets, not even in death. The Grand Elder gave his entire life for the family. Now it's time for us to do something for the Grand Elder instead. The Li family elders were all extremely agitated. The Fong family estate. In contrast to the Li family's state of mourning, the Fong family was decorated with lanterns and bustling with excitement as if it was the new year. In a large hall of the Fong family estate, an elderly and thin old man sat at the head as he enjoyed the reverent gazes of the Fong family higher-ups. Second grandfather, you've really helped the Fong family vent our grievances. Since the traceless disappearance of the Grand Elder, the Li family and the Chun family have been continuously pressuring our Fong family, and more than half of our marketplace has been taken over by them. Now that you've returned, we've reclaimed everything. The Fong family patriarch, Fong Yi, had a face full of smiles as he spoke to the old man seated at the head. Now that Li Hua's dead, the Li family is left completely without anyone to rely on. Once we've finished reorganizing the property we've just reclaimed, we can take over the Li family's marketplace as well, one of the Fong family elders said. Exactly. If we do this, I don't think the Chen family would dare to say a word. Chen family? Hee hee. The Chen family originally wanted to help the Li family, but once they experienced the strength of Second Ancestor, didn't they cower and look on as the Li family's grand elder was killed by Second Ancestor? They didn't dare to say a single word. Yeah, I still remember the expression of the Qin family's grand elder, Qin Kuan, at that time. He wanted to do something but didn't dare to. I nearly died from laughter. The Fong family elders flattered the old man seated at the head. The old man's gaze went cold as he slowly said, "If that Qin Kuan dared to make a move, then I would have killed him there and then." However, being unable to obtain that miraculous medicinal liquid's medicinal formula was truly a great loss for our Fong family. The old man looked towards Fong Yi and asked, "Yi, have you found any leads on where Li Hua got that medicinal formula from?" "No." Fong Yi shook his head. "However, what I can be sure of is that he obtained it sometime in these 2 years. Even a trash disciple with another surname of the Li family was able to achieve great growth due to that medicinal liquid, and that disciple ultimately caused our Fong family to lose face. Unfortunately, however, that little bastard went to the Li family main clan, or else I'd surely have made living worse than death for him." As Fong Yi finished speaking, a cold light flashed within his eyes. "I've heard of him before. That little bastard must die indeed." The old man's gaze went cold and emitted an icy cold light. "Patriarch, patriarch." Just at this moment, a figure that was in a sorry state rushed into the Fong family's hall. The figure was a Fong clan young man with a pale face, and his entire body was trembling out of extreme fear. "Who let you come in?" Fong Yi's face sank. The old man seated at the head looked at the young man as he asked, "What happened?" "Second Ancestor, Patriarch, 2 people have forced their way into our Fong family and are currently slaughtering their way towards this very hall. Many members of our Fong family have already perished," the young man said, with a shivering voice. "What?" The expressions of all the Fong family higher-ups instant went gloomy. "Let's go. I want to see who dares be so impudent in my Fong family." The old man flew out as he spoke. The Fong family higher-ups followed suit. Duan Ling Tian unsheathed his violet myrtle flexible sword the moment he entered the Fong family estate with Xiong Quan and started a slaughter. As long as they were Fong family members, he would kill them on sight. Xiong Quan followed behind Duan Ling Tian with a 3-foot-long blade in hand. A life would be taken every instant his blade flashed. Whoosh! The violet myrtle flexible sword in Duan Ling Tian's hand jerked, and with it another Fong family member's life followed. Duan Ling Tian's face and clothes had long ago been drenched in blood. Everywhere he passed, blood would flow there. Killing a man every 10 steps, unstoppable for 1,000 miles. Presently, this saying was extremely suitable to be used on Duan Ling Tian. Even Duan Ling Tian wasn't aware of how many people had fallen to his sword as he moved along with an icy cold gaze. As far as he was concerned, no amount of Fong family lives would equal the life of the grand elder Li Hua. Presently, his unrestrained slaughter was precisely appeasing the grand elder's soul in heaven. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The violet sword light and azure sword light were like 2 sides of the death god, as a Fong family disciple would fall lifeless every time they flashed. The surroundings resounded with cries filled with dread. Eventually, there weren't any Fong family disciples that dared to come close to them. They stood far off with faces filled with dread. "It's Duan Ling Tian." Someone recognized Duan Ling Tian. It really is him. Oh my god. There's actually 9 ancient mammoth silhouettes above him. Doesn't that mean that he's even stronger than the patriarch? Impossible. He should be only around 17 this year. Every single Fong family disciple felt terrified. "Duan Ling Tian, it's you." An explosive shout full of rage sounded from afar. Duan Ling Tian's forward steps slowly came to a standstill, and his cold gaze returned to a calm state. The main targets of today's events had finally appeared. Xiong Quan sheathed his sword and stood ramrod straight behind Duan Ling Tian like a guardian deity. Duan Ling Tian gazed over only to see a thin old man with eyes that flickered brilliantly walking over in the lead to confront him. The Fong family patriarch, Fong Yi, and the group of Fong family elders followed suit. Presently, all of the Fong family higher-ups had incomparably gloomy expressions, and the one that shouted explosively earlier was precisely Fong Yi. "You're Duan Ling Tian?" Duan Ling Tian's gaze was calm when confronted with the old man's cold question. "Yes, I'm Duan Ling Tian. Looks like you should be that Fong family old goat. Then do you know that you're currently courting death?" Killing intent was emitted from the old man's eyes. "Courting death?" Duan Ling Tian started laughing. "Old goat, are you that confident?" "Presumptuous. Duan Ling Tian, you actually dare be disrespectful to my second grandfather. I'll kill you." Fong Yi's face sank as he yelled explosively before transforming into a gust of wind that flashed towards Duan Ling Tian. "That would depend on if you have the capability." A sneer appeared on the corners of Duan Ling Tian's mouth as he saw Fong Yi flashing over with 8 ancient mammoth silhouettes above him. In terms of strength, even if he didn't use a spirit weapon, Fong Yi's strength would still be inferior to his by 1 ancient mammoth. In terms of martial skills, there was no way Fong Yi could ever compare to him. "Die!" Fong Yi arrived in front of Duan Ling Tian in the blink of the eye. Then he explosively roared before blasting his palm, which seemed to transform into a fan, downwards. Duan Ling Tian made his move as well. He exploded forth with his full strength of 9 ancient mammoths. Spirit Serpent movement technique. Instantly, Duan Ling Tian made his way behind Fong Yu. Whoosh! A violet sword light flashed by. Fong Yi's body continued to fiercely charge forward as his head flew off his body. Warm blood shot out of his neck like a fountain. Fong Yi was completely unable to keep up with Duan Ling Tian's speed. Their strengths were virtually on different levels, including the thin old man. All of the Fong family higher-ups were dumbstruck. Patriarch. The Fong family disciples that stood afar trembled in fear. This Duan Ling Tian was a complete and utter monster. He actually only needed 1 sword strike to kill their patriarch. Too terrifying. Patriarch. The Fong family elders finally reacted from their dumbstruck state as they cried out in grief. Their gazes were filled with disbelief as they looked at Duan Ling Tian. It was extremely difficult for them to imagine how Duan Ling Tian could possibly obtain such terrifying strength when he had only left Fresh Breeze Town for not even 2 years. The strength of 9 ancient mammoths. None among them were capable of such strength. The thin old man's face went green as he exploded with rage. His cold gaze seemed to be able to freeze Duan Ling Tian. "Little bastard, I'm going to use your blood to appease Yi's soul in heaven." "Old goat, do all your Fong family members love to talk big like that?" The corners of Duan Ling Tian's mouth held a sense of coldness as he laughed. Duan Ling Tian. Meanwhile, the Li family higher-ups had finally rushed over, and when they noticed Fong Yi's corpse on the ground, their eyes flashed with a trace of elation. "Not one of you Li family members should have any hopes of leaving here with your lives today." The old man took a step forward as his origin energy suffused throughout his body and 30 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared above him. Second level of the origin core stage. The Li family higher-ups, however, remained unfazed as their gazes emitted a sense of resolution. They wanted to take revenge for Grand Elder. Battle. Even if they battled to their deaths, they would be fearless. However, just at this moment, the sound of an unexpected voice caused them all to be dumbstruck. "You think the second level of the origin core stage is really so great?" Duan Ling Tian looked at the old man as he ridiculed. "Have a try." The old man sneered. He emitted a sense of madness. At this moment, he had already thrown any considerations of the Aurora City Li clan to the wind. Duan Ling Tian took a step back as he indifferently said, "Stone Quan, I'll give you the time of 3 breaths to finish him." 3 breaths? Under the gazes of everyone present, Xiong Quan, who was standing behind Duan Ling Tian, took a step forward to confront the old man. "My liege, you're looking down on me." he will undoubtedly be dead within a breath's time. Everyone present was completely dumbstruck. This included the Li family members as well as the Fong family members. They were originally shocked when Duan Ling Tian asked the middle-aged man to finish the old man within 3 breaths. But now what did this middle-aged man say? Within 1 breath? Was that even possible? 1 breath? The old man burst out in laughter due to extreme rage. Junior, I really want to see how you can finish me within 1 breath. The old man never finished speaking his mind because he would never speak again in this life. Whoosh! Everyone only saw something flash before their eyes before the middle-aged man that spoke boastfully disappeared before their eyes and instantly reappeared before the old man, as if he had teleported. Whoosh! An extremely swift green sword light flashed by, and with it was the old man's head flying up into the air. His headless body shot out a fountain of blood before crashing onto the ground, following in the footsteps of Patriarch Fong Yi. The old man's severed head flew off into the distance before rolling onto the ground. His eyes were filled with everlasting regret as they stared at everyone present. Xiong Quan, well done? Duan Ling Tian nodded in satisfaction as he laughed coldly in his heart. This Fong family old goat really thought that he was something. He even dared to address Xiong Quan, the former guardian of the Boundless sect, as a junior. Thank you for the praise, my liege, Xiong Quan replied respectfully. The Fong family members were dumbstruck, and the Li family members were stupefied. All they felt was their scalps going numb. Who the heck was this servant of Duan Ling Tian? Second ancestor? The Fong family elders finally returned to their senses and felt dread crawl up onto them as their faces turned pale. Kill. The Li family's patriarch, Li Nanfeng, was the first to react. His body flashed out towards the remaining Fong family elders. The Li family elders followed him and charged forward. The Fong family elders only took a glance at Xiong Quan before losing any remaining will to battle. Then they scattered off, fleeing in panic. Xiong Quan, go help the patriarch and the others. Duan Ling Tian ordered. Yes, my liege. Xiong Quan's figure flashed out, and with his help, the Li family higher-ups were able to quickly slaughter all of the Fong family's higher-ups. Duan Ling Tian, however, stood on the spot and watched on coldly, not having any intention of taking part in the massacre. Duan Ling Tian was perfectly aware of how the pain and grief the patriarch and elders were feeling were not one bit inferior to his. Now they finally had an opportunity to vent their grievances, so he let them vent to their heart's content. Grand Elder, you can finally rest in peace. After today, the Fong family will cease to exist. Duan Ling Tian raised his head to look at the heavens and spoke with a gaze that contained a flashing light within. Before long, the Li family higher-ups were all drenched in blood. Of course, it was all the blood of the Fong family's elders. Duan Ling Tian, thank you. The Li family patriarch, Li Nanfeng, and the Li family elders bowed deeply to Duan Ling Tian. This was their heartfelt gratitude. If it wasn't for Duan Ling Tian, it would be impossible for them to take revenge for the Grand Elder. Patriarch, I'm part of the Li family as well. A single sentence from Duan Ling Tian expressed his standpoint. Haha, good. Ninth Elder has a good son, and he is a blessing to our Li family. Li Nanfeng laughed heartily in an extremely excited manner. Unconsciously, the gazes of the Li family elders descended upon Xiong Quan, who stood respectfully behind Duan Ling Tian. Now they finally understood why Duan Ling Tian was confident enough to speak of annihilating the Fong family. It turned out to be all because of this servant beside him. They had all seen how 40 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared above this servant of Duan Ling Tian when he killed that old goat of the Fong family, and it caused them to be terrified. Third-level origin core stage powerhouse. If they knew that the current Xiong Quan was actually in existence at the 9th level of the origin core stage, and that he had only used a third of his strength earlier, Duan Ling Tian wondered what their expressions would look like then. The death of all the Fong family higher-ups also meant the decline of the Fong family, and that the Fong family would become part of Fresh Breeze Town's history. While the Li family continued to attend to the morning processions of Grand Elder Li Hua, this shocking piece of news spread throughout Fresh Breeze Town like a hurricane. The Li family, who were in an inferior position, suddenly managed a shocking counterattack to completely annihilate the Fong family. TSK, the Fong family is gone just like that. Could it be that the Li family's main clan, the Aurora City Li clan, sent someone? Impossible. Unless the Li family of our town faced annihilation, the Aurora City Li clan probably wouldn't interfere. Do all of you really not know of the reason? Could it be that you do? Of course. Let's hear it. Heh, I heard it from one of the guys at the Li family. Allegedly, Duan Ling Tian returned with a servant, and that servant of his killed the Fong family's supreme elder, in existence at the second level of the origin core stage, within a single breath. Duan Ling Tian's servant? This is too exaggerated. The entire Fresh Breeze town discussed animatedly. Deep in the night, the Li family audience hall was brightly lit. The massive Li family elders sat around as they ate and drank, and at the head, the one seated there wasn't Li Nanfeng but Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian was forced to sit there, but after refusing repeatedly, he eventually gave in and sat there. Actually, if Duan Ling Tian didn't sit at the head right now, the Li family higher-ups would surely feel restless, as Xiong Quan, who stood behind Duan Ling Tian, was obviously an origin core stage powerhouse. Sir, why don't you sit down as well? Li Nanfeng looked at Xiong Quan as he spoke respectfully. Although he was Duan Ling Tian's servant, his strength made Li Nanfeng have heartfelt respect towards him. Furthermore, if it wasn't for him, it would be impossible for the Li family to take revenge for the Grand Elder. However, Xiong Quan remained unfazed. Li Nanfeng glanced at Duan Ling Tian embarrassedly. Xiong Quan, sit down, Duan Ling Tian said. Yes, my liege. Only now did Xiong Quan sit down. During the course of their meal, the Li family higher-ups finally got to know about all that happened after Duan Ling Tian made his way to the Aurora City Li clan, and they couldn't help but sigh. No matter where it went, gold would always shine. This saying was not false in the slightest. The number one on the Hidden Dragon list passed the Iron Blood Army's Genius Camp test and obtained the qualifications to enter Paladin Academy. The achievements Duan Ling Tian accomplished caused Li Nanfeng and the other elders to feel ineffable shock. Haha, I never imagined that our branch family could produce such a figure. Sixth Elder Li Ping laughed heartily as he raised his glass to honor Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian, there's been some differences between us in the past. Right here and now, I solemnly offer you my deepest apologies. Li Ting had once colluded with the deceased 7th Elder Li Kuan and made trouble for Duan Ling Tian at every corner, and his heart was filled with regret now that he recalled what had happened in the past. 6th Elder, don't mention it. At the moment that you lent a hand when the Fong family manager, Fong Chong, attacked me, the differences between 6th Elder and I were completely resolved, Duan Ling Tian said as he raised his glass in return. Then it's just me being narrow-minded. I'll punish myself with a cup. Li Ping poured another cup of wine for himself before draining the cup in one go. Duan Ling Tian, after you leave this time, I wonder when you'll be able to return again. 5th Elder Li Ting sighed. The other elders deeply agreed to this as well. Fellow elders, no matter when, I, Duan Ling Tian, will always remember that I was a disciple of the Fresh Breeze Townley family. When I return this time, I'll ask a favor of the main clan's patriarch to take good care of the Fresh Breeze Townley family. Duan Ling Tian slowly spoke. Hearing what he said caused gazes of the Li family higher-ups to abruptly shine. They understood how Duan Ling Tian, who had obtained the qualifications to enter Paladin Academy, was already worthy of the main clan's patriarch to spare no effort in winning him over, and thus the main clan would absolutely not refuse Duan Ling Tian's request. Duan Ling Tian, the Fresh Breeze Townley family will always be your home, and whenever you feel exhausted, you can return here at any time. The Li family's doors will always be open for you. Li Nanfeng took a deep breath as he raised his glass and drained it in one go. I'll keep that in mind. Duan Ling Tian nodded earnestly. That night, Duan Ling Tian returned to the courtyard he used to live in. The courtyard was extremely clean and the rooms tidy. Obviously, the area had been cleaned regularly. Boss, it was the Grand Elder who ordered for your home to be cleaned, as he said you would return here sooner or later. Unfortunately, Grand Elder never had the chance to see you return. Little Fatty was following behind Duan Ling Tian as he sighed. Grand Elder. Duan Ling Tian was originally wondering who would have been so considerate, but he never imagined it would be that old man. His heart lightly trembled. Grand Elder, don't worry. I promise you that as long as I, Duan Ling Tian, am alive, this Li family which you gave your entire life for will never, ever crumble. Duan Ling Tian looked up into the starry night sky as he pledged in his heart. As a grade 9 alchemist, Grand Elder Li Hua could have gone to the main clan and become a medicine court elder. However, he didn't do this. His entire life was lived for the sake of the Fresh Breeze Townley branch family, and he never once had any complaints. In Duan Ling Tian's heart, the Grand Elder was a senior worthy of respect. Go get 2 jugs of wine and drink a few cups with me, Duan Ling Tian said to Little Fatty. All right. Little Fatty hurriedly nodded and walked away spiritedly. Duan Ling Tian had only just started drinking with Little Fatty when an unexpected guest appeared. Chun Mei, the Chun family patriarch's daughter, came alone. Duan Ling Tian frowned. Miss Mei, are you here looking for me? Duan Ling Tian, I'm here to express the apologies of my father and the Grand Elder. A slight anguish appeared on Chun Mei's face. She never imagined that the youth from before would actually grow to such a degree that she could only look up to in her entire lifetime, and only continue to look on as he went further and further away. Apologize to me? Duan Ling Tian started laughing. What are you apologizing to me for? If it's only about this, then Miss Mei, I won't be seeing you out. Please go ahead. He had heard of the Chen family's reaction when the Li family faced danger, and needless to say, he was extremely disgusted with the Chen family. Chun Mei felt flustered and exasperated and was about to get angry, but when she noticed that Xiong Quan was standing behind Duan Ling Tian and was staring at her coldly, she was instantly scared to the extent that her face went pale. If she wasn't wrong, this person was the Origin core stage powerhouse that was discussed about animatedly all over Fresh Breeze Town today, and also Duan Ling Tian's servant. Duan Ling Tian, my father and the Grand Elder originally wanted to help the Li family, but who knew that the Fong family ancestor would have such a formidable strength? If my Qin family were to lend a hand, then it would surely incur a catastrophe. My father and the Grand Elder made such a choice for the sake of the Qin family. Our Qin family doesn't have a main clan to seek protection from like your Li family does. Qin Mei explained. Miss Mei, I think you've really misunderstood. I don't have any relationship with your Qin family, and the Li family doesn't have any relationship with your Qin family either. How your Qin family goes about their business has nothing to do with me, nor the Li family. Xiong Quan, send my guest out. Duan Ling Tian swept his indifferent gaze over Chen Mei before raising his cup and looking towards Little Fatty. Li Xian, let's continue. Let's consider this wine as your farewell to me. I wonder when us brothers will be able to meet again. Boss, I'll surely work hard in my cultivation, so I can head to the Imperial City to look for you. Li Xian said earnestly. Then you have to work harder. Duan Ling Tian laughed. Miss Chun, please. Xiong Quan stood in front of Chen Mei, causing her face to turn pale as she walked out in panic. Before leaving, she didn't forget to take one last glance at Duan Ling Tian, but she noticed that from beginning to end, Duan Ling Tian had never once glanced at her once more. Father, Grand Elder, your choice has completely cut off any relationship our Qin family had with him and the Li family. Cheng Mei came with hope, but left with disappointment. Li Xian, I'll be leaving Fresh Breeze Town early tomorrow morning, and I'll probably not bid farewell to the Patriarch and the others. Tell the Patriarch not to worry. From now on, someone will send some 6 treasures body tempering liquid over every now and then, Duan Ling Tian said to Li Xian. The tragedy of Grand Elder Li Hua made him become aware of how he couldn't once again allow the Fresh Breeze Townley family to hold the 6 treasures body tempering liquid's medicinal formula. If he did, it would certainly bring calamity to the Fresh Breeze Townley family. He had already made a plan that once he returned to Aurora City, he would tell Tang Ying to send some 6 treasures body tempering liquid to the Fresh Breeze Townley family every now and then. In this way, all of the potential problems would be solved. At dawn the next day, The sky had only just brightened when Duan Ling Tian left Fresh Breeze Town with Xiong Quan. They were back in Aurora City by noon. Duan Ling Tian notified Tang Ying and sent Xiong Quan to an inn before finally returning to his home in the Li clan. Tian, how did everything go? Duan Ling Tian had only just gotten home when Li Ro asked impatiently. She understood her son, so she wasn't really worried, as she knew that since he was so confident yesterday, then he would surely have a way to deal with the situation. However, she still wondered how her son dealt with the origin core stage martial artist of the Fong family. Mom, everything has been dealt with. The Fresh Breeze Town Fong family doesn't exist anymore. The Grand Elder can finally rest in peace. Duan Ling Tian nodded with a smile. Li Ro was slightly moved. The Fong family was annihilated? She suddenly felt like her son had become even more mysterious. Duan Ling Tian asked, Mom, where's Ku-er? Probably still cultivating. Li Ro shook her head and sighed. Ku-er, that girl has been painstakingly cultivating all the time since you've left and has now already cultivated to the 5th level of the core formation stage, but she seems to be unsatisfied and still continues to cultivate painstakingly. I think she hopes that she can help you in the future. Ku-er. Duan Ling Tian's eyes flashed with a trace of a gentle light, and his heart lightly trembled. Truly such a silly girl. Mom, I'm going out to do something, so I won't be returning for lunch later at noon, Duan Ling Tian said to Li Ro. Since he was leaving at dawn tomorrow, he planned to go bid his farewells to the few friends he had in Aurora City. After leaving the Li clan estate, Duan Ling Tian headed to the Xiao clan. Once he arrived, not only did he see Xiao Yu and Luo Qian, he even unexpectedly noticed that the Lin clan's Lin Zhua and Lin Qi were here as well. Duan Ling Tian, you really aren't a true friend. You didn't even come have a drink with me after you returned. Lin Qi intentionally pulled a long face when he noticed Duan Ling Tian. I only just returned the day before yesterday. Duan Ling Tian shook his head and smiled. He didn't think that he would be able to meet Lin Qi and his brother here. This saved him the trouble of heading to the Lin clan to bid farewell. Subsequently, Duan Ling Tian said, I was just planning to have a meal with you two brothers and Xiao Yu, as I'm leaving tomorrow, so you can take it as me bidding my farewells. Leaving tomorrow? Lin Qi and Lin Zhua were both slightly surprised. Xiao Yu, however, wasn't so surprised. He knew that since Duan Ling Tian planned to take his entire family to the imperial city with him, then he would surely need to leave 6 months earlier, as the speed of a wagon was far from galloping on a horse by himself. Little Qian can come with me as well? Duan Ling Tian looked towards Luo Qian as he spoke. Luo Qian lightly nodded in an extremely obedient manner. We're going as well. Just at this moment, 2 beautiful figures walked over slowly from afar, and they were precisely Xiao Yu's little sister, Xiao Lan, and the Xiao clan patriarch's daughter, Xiao Yun. The one who spoke was Xiao Yun. He had last seen her nearly 2 years ago. The immaturity on Xiao Lan's face had shed and seemed to be much more transcendent of the mundane, like a living celestial maiden that had fallen into the mortal world. As for Xiao Yun, although her charms were inferior to Xiao Lan's, she had become more reserved and much more mature. I don't know if the silver I have is enough for so many people, Duan Ling Tian joked. In reality, with the wealth he currently had in his spatial ring, he couldn't even finish it even if he ate for more than 100 years at the best restaurant in Aurora City. In the past, Duan Ling Tian had already earned a few million silver when he inscribed the Blood Crescent inscription for Tang Ying. Adding onto it the profit from the sales of the 6 treasures body tempering for the past 1 year plus that Ku-er passed to him, and furthermore there was the 2 million silver that Patriarch Li Ao gave him. The wealth within Duan Ling Tian's spatial ring totaled to over 9 million silver, and it was nearing 10 million silver. Don't worry, I'll treat you for this meal, Lin Zhua and Xiao Yu said, at almost exactly the same time. I'm kidding. Duan Ling Tian shook his head and laughed. I still can afford this little bit of silver. Duan Ling Tian's group left the Xiao clan estate in next to no time and entered Aurora City. On the way, Duan Ling Tian vaguely noticed that Xiao Lan's flickering gaze descended upon him every now and then, causing him to feel stunned. This Xiao Lan, it can't be that she took a liking to me, right? It's probably just me overthinking things. Even Duan Ling Tian himself felt it to be impossible. He shook his head and laughed at himself. Xiao Lan, the Xiao clan's supreme elder's granddaughter who had a drop-dead gorgeous appearance like a celestial immortal. In the entire Aurora city, countless men bowed beneath her skirt, but she disdained to even pay any attention to them. How could such a woman so easily take a liking towards another? In the restaurant, their group sat around the table and were bustling with noise and excitement. Lin Shi abruptly looked at Duanling Tian as he earnestly said, "Duanling Tian, you were right." At this moment, he couldn't help but recall the time Duanling Tian said those things to him in this very restaurant. "My aspirations aren't within the Crimson Sky Kingdom." Based on Duanling Tian's current accomplishments of being about to enter Paladin Academy, which had a special status in the Crimson Sky Kingdom, with Paladin Academy as his stepping stone, he was bound to go further and higher in life. All of this was something that was impossible to obtain if he joined the Violet Tulip Trading Company. "Good luck to you too." Duanling Tian nodded with a smile. "What are the two of you talking about?" Xiao Yun's beautiful eyebrows slightly knit, as she didn't understand the conversation between Lin Shi and Duanling Tian. In fact, it wasn't just she who didn't understand it. Xiao Yu and the others couldn't make any sense of it either. No one understood what the ramblings between Duanling Tian and Lin Shi meant. Nothing. Lin Shi shook his head, but his gaze flashed with a trace of resolution, seeming to have made up his mind on something. "It doesn't matter if you don't want to say." Xiao Yun pursed her lips, refusing to concern herself with it any further. The group of youths chatted happily, and unconsciously their topic of conversation moved towards the Iron Blood Army's genius camp, to Meng Quan and Luo Cheng. It was hard for Luo Qian not to feel sad when Luo Cheng was mentioned, but luckily, Xiao Lan and Xiao Yun were beside her. They treated her like their sister and were there to comfort her. Seeing this scene allowed Duanling Tian to finally completely be at ease. It looked like Luo Qian had completely assimilated herself into the Xiao clan, and with Xiao Lan and Xiao Yun being there to care for her, he didn't have to worry that she would suffer any injustices in the Xiao clan. Meng Quan, such a pity. Lin Zhua sighed. That time during the genius gathering, how full of spirits Meng Quan was. But now he was gone just like that. Yeah, who would have thought that he would meet such an end? Xiao Yu sighed. However, I've at least helped him finish his last wish, so he should finally be able to rest in peace. Duanling Tian's gaze flickered with a complicated light. No matter what, you and Duanling Tian can be considered to have escaped from death, and this is worthy of celebration. Lin Qi changed the topic as he raised his cup. Cheers. Duanling Tian, congratulations. Xiao Lan raised her cup as well and looked at Duanling Tian. Her drop-dead gorgeous face, which was without a shred of makeup, had a sense of shyness appear on it. Duanling Tian was startled. This Xiao Lan couldn't have really fallen for me, right? Xiao Yu noticed this as well, and as the twin brother of Xiao Lan, how could he not notice what his little sister was thinking? Little sister, are you really willing to share this man with other women? Xiao Yu sighed in his heart. Based on his understanding of Duanling Tian, it was impossible for Duanling Tian to abandon those other two women of his, who had appearances not one bit inferior to his little sisters. Come, drink. Duanling Tian raised his cup and stopped his wild thoughts. Let fate run its course. Their group continued to eat and drink, chatting the entire afternoon before finally leaving the restaurant. Before going their separate ways, Duanling Tian said to Xiao Yu, I'll wait for you at the Imperial City. Don't speak too early. There's only one road towards the Imperial City from our Aurora City. Who knows, I might catch up to you, Xiao Yu said with a smile. Duanling Tian felt the same way after giving it a brief thought. He was traveling by wagon, whereas Xiao Yu would gallop on a horse swiftly, and thus the speed between the two were utterly incomparable. Then I'll be waiting for you to catch up. Duanling Tian laughed before seeing everyone off. He then once again went to the trade market to buy a pile of medicinal materials to refine origin-increasing pills before returning to the Li clan estate. On the way home, Duanling Tian bumped into a familiar face, a face that was completely out of his expectations. Duanling Tian. Li Shur looked at Duanling Tian with a slightly evasive and panicked gaze. Long time no see. Duan Ling Tian smiled to Li Shishir. Although he didn't approve of Li Shishir's previous actions, there originally wasn't anything much between him and Li Shishir, so he was indifferent to the matter. Without love, how could there be hate? Li Shishir was bound to be someone that just passed by in his life. I heard that you're leaving tomorrow, is that true? Li Shishir asked in a quiet voice. Her gaze was extremely complicated, because the youth that formerly had only just entered the Li clan estate had now grown to a degree that was difficult for her to ever reach. In her heart, besides regret, there was only even more regret. However, she understood that she couldn't become as close to Duan Ling Tian as before, and their relationship was something she shattered with her own two hands. Yes, I'll be leaving at dawn tomorrow. See you again. Duan Ling Tian nodded and left after bidding his farewells to Li Shishir. Li Shishir sighed faintly as she watched Duan Ling Tian's figure disappear in the distance. She gritted her teeth, and her delicate figure lightly trembled like a wild flower being blown by the wind, standing there alone without anyone to rely on. That night, Duan Ling Tian's family and Li Fei's family gathered together for dinner. This could also be considered a farewell dinner with Li Fei's grandfather. Grandfather, why don't you come with us? Li Fei still tried to persuade him. Fei, don't force grandfather. Grandfather has already spent more than half of his life in the Li clan and has long since rooted himself here. If you miss grandfather in the future, you can return at any time. Don't worry, grandfather's body and bones are still fine, and I will certainly be able to hold the child of you and Ling Tian. As the old man finished speaking, he had a face full of smiles. It was as if he could already see the scene of Duan Ling Tian and Li Fei having a house full of children and grandchildren. Grandfather, what are you talking about? Who's going to have children with him? Li Fei was embarrassed to the point that she lowered her head. However, she looked extremely beautiful at this moment. Swallow Mountain County, County City. The Yu clan was a renowned and large clan even in the county city. Outside the Yu clan estate, a figure galloped his horse over before jumping off and dashing inside. Father, big brother is dead? The figure who had returned was precisely Yu Xiang. After Duan Ling Tian left the Iron Blood City, Yu Xiang finally mustered up the courage to leave, and by spurring his horse onwards throughout his journey, he finally rushed back to the Yu clan. What? Yu Xiang's father was the Yu clan's second elder and also the little brother of the Yu clan's patriarch. After he finished hearing Yu Xiang recount the events, his face went ghastly pale. He was angry to the point that he spat out a mouthful of blood. Xiang, come with me to see your uncle. I want that Duan Ling Tian to suffer a fate worse than death. Duan Ling Tian and his family departed at dawn the next day. Patriarch Li Ao had specially prepared a large wagon for Duan Ling Tian. It was pulled by 5 strong and large horses, drawing the attention of many as it left Aurora City. Where did this figure come from? Who could be riding in such an exaggerated wagon? Didn't you see the Li clan crest engraved on the side of that wagon? Could it be that the Li clan's patriarch is inside? Ignorant fool. Duan Ling Tian is the one inside there, and he's about to leave for the Imperial City. Could it be that you've all forgotten that Duan Ling Tian and the Shao clan Shao Yu have passed the Iron Blood Army's Genius Camp training and obtained the qualification to enter Paladin Academy? Leaving so early? He naturally has to leave early since he's going by wagon. We're quite a distance away from the Imperial City after all. This Duan Ling Tian is only 17 this year. I'm absolutely certain he will one day become a great figure of our Crimson Sky Kingdom. Nonsense. Who doesn't know of this? The Aurora City residents that stood at the side of the road and watched the wagon disappear into the distance all had gazes of veneration, and only when the wagon finally disappeared before them did they come back to their senses. Aurora City being able to produce a figure such as Duan Ling Tian caused them to feel a sense of pride as well. As a wagon that was pulled by 5 large horses, the interior of the carriage was luxurious and spacious. 2 beds that were covered in high-quality marten skin were on either side, and in the middle was a small table that was filled with fresh fruits and refreshments. The wagon that the patriarch prepared is really not bad. As Duan Ling Tian lazily lied on the soft bed, a satisfied smile appeared on his face. He imagined that Patriarch Li Ao had certainly gone to great lengths to prepare this wagon. Of course. I heard that the patriarch ordered the craftsmen to spend 2 days and 2 nights to rush to complete this wagon. As Li Fei spoke, she touched the marten skin on the beds and sighed. Just these high-quality marten skins should probably be worth a few 100,000 silver. Li Rou sat on the edge of the other bed as she looked at Duanling Tian and lightly smiled. The patriarch is really considerate, Tun. You have to remember this favor of the patriarch. Mom, I know. Duanling Tian comfortably lied on the bed, crossed his legs, and lightly shook them in satisfaction. Ku Er's beautiful eyes curved slightly, seeming to become 2 crescent moons as she lightly asked Duanling Tian, "Young master, where did you get our wagon driver from? Why does he call you his liege?" Li Fei and Li Rou looked at Duanling Tian as well, as they had both realized that the middle-aged man that was driving their wagon now was no simple man. That cold and extraordinary appearance with a mask on his face was absolutely not something a normal wagon driver was capable of. "Ku Er, he isn't a wagon driver. He's my servant," Duanling Tian corrected before laughing. "When you've married me, he will address you as his liege lady." Ku Er's face flushed in embarrassment after hearing what Duanling Tian said. She was lost for words. "Scoundrel, you're bullying little sister Ku Er again." Li Fei extended her delicate, jade-like hand and pinched the flesh on Duanling Tian's waist before lightly twisting it. "Little Fei, are you trying to murder your husband?" Duanling Tian cried out in pain as he extended his hand to pull Li Fei into his embrace before swinging his palm to slap her sexy buttocks. Slap. Li Fei's sensitive and delicate figure lightly trembled, and upon realizing that Ku Er and Li Rou were present as well, her face blushed to the point that it seemed like blood would drip out at any moment, and she sat at a corner in embarrassment, not daring to bully Duanling Tian anymore. "Tian, take note of the current situation." Li Rou lightly coughed and helplessly shook her head. "I'll obey your command, my dear mother." Duanling Tian laughed slyly and was slightly embarrassed. Only now did he remember that his mother was still sitting opposite of him. During their entire journey to the Crimson Sky Kingdom's imperial city, Duanling Tian's group would stop and rest whenever they passed a town. This wagon's speed was far greater than that of a regular wagon, so their time wasn't so strained. Unknowingly, 2 months had passed, and Stone Quan had gained more and more experience on his ability to drive the wagon. As the former guardian of the Boundless Sect, it was the first time in Xiong Quan's entire lifetime that he had taken the role of the wagon driver. However, he didn't dare have any complaints, as his life was in the hands of the violet-clothed youth within the carriage. Swallow Mountain County, County City. Go! Accompanied by a high-pitched shout, a Fergana horse covered in blood dashed on the county city's roads before quickly arriving at the entrance of the Yu Clan estate, and the figure on the horse jumped off before dashing into the Yu Clan estate. In the Yu Clan audience hall, a middle-aged man with a dignified expression sat at the head, and beside him on each side was a middle-aged man and a youth. These 3 were precisely the Yu Clan's patriarch, Yu Dian, the Yu Clan's second elder, Yu Li, and Yu Xiang. Presently, the gazes of the 3 all descended upon the Yu Clan disciple who was breathing heavily. The dignified middle-aged man lightly touched the beard beneath his chin and asked slowly, with a calm expression, "Have you finished your investigation?" After the calmness, his expression seemed to be mixed with a sense of breathtaking coldness. The Yu Clan disciple caught his breath before respectfully reporting, "Patriarch, the Duanling Tian that young Master Xiang spoke of is a disciple with another surname of the Aurora City Li clan. As for that Xiao Yu, he's a member of the Aurora City Xiao clan, and is allegedly the grandson of the Xiao clan's supreme elder. That Xiao clan supreme elder is a nascent soul martial artist." The grandson of a nascent soul martial artist? Yu Xiang's face slightly sank. That Xiao Yu actually has such a background? So what if he's a nascent soul martial artist grandson? A nascent soul martial artist from a small clan like that would at most be at the first stage. You said Aurora City earlier? Unexpectedly, however, Yu Dian frowned. Yes. The Yu clan disciple respectfully nodded. Uncle, what's wrong? A bad premonition arose in Yu Xiang's heart. According to what I know, the Aurora City Xiao clan is the branch clan of the Imperial City Xiao clan, Yu Dian said slowly. Imperial City's Shao clan's branch clan? Yu Xiang's expression went gloomy as he took a deep breath and recalled something. No wonder he had such a strong defensive martial skill. I didn't expect that his clan would be related to the large clan of the Imperial City. Yu Jian looked at Yu Li and Yu Xiang as he slowly said, "Second brother, Xiang, we can't touch this Xiao Yu." Their Yu clan was considered a large clan in Swallow Mountain County, but once it was compared to the large clans of the Imperial City, it was nothing. The clans that truly had deep roots within the Crimson Sky Kingdom were undoubtedly the Imperial family and the few large clans of the Imperial City. The Yu clan was completely powerless before them. "Uncle, he's only a branch clan disciple. If we kill him, the Imperial City Shao clan won't look into the matter." Yu Xiang's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. Until today, he couldn't forget the scene of Xiao Yu forcing that steamed bun that was tainted with mud down his throat. Also, Xiao Yu had challenged, defeated, and knocked him out cold. He considered this matter to be a great humiliation. The hatred in his heart towards Xiao Yu was only inferior to his hatred towards Duanling Tian. Meanwhile, Yu Xiang's father, Yu Li, said, in a low voice, "Xiang, don't be silly. That Xiao Yu might not have been taken into consideration by the Imperial City Shao clan in the past, but now that he's passed the Iron Blood Army's Genius Camp test and obtained the qualifications to enter Paladin Academy, his meaning to them is completely different. Even the Imperial City's Shao clan would focus on fostering such a figure. If our Yu clan were to touch him, it would be a catastrophe for our Yu clan once the Shao clan found out about it. Do you understand? The Yu clan could look down upon the Aurora City Shao clan, but the Imperial City Shao clan, on the other hand, was a colossus compared to the Yu clan. Father, I understand." Yu Xiang took a deep breath. Although his eyes still emitted killing intent, he knew that the clan wouldn't take such risks just for him. "Xiao Yu, you got lucky. What's the background of that Duanling Tian?" Yu Xiang gazed at the Yu clan disciple that was tasked with gathering information. He recalled the offensive inscription that Duanling Tian used to kill his brother. That Duanling Tian couldn't also have some background, right? He was slightly perturbed in his heart. The Yu clan disciple respectfully replied, "Young Master Xiang, that Duanling Tian doesn't have any background. He's only a disciple with another surname of the Aurora City Li clan and is allegedly even only a branch family disciple." "Uncle, you must take revenge for my brother." Yu Xiang had an agitated expression as he looked at Yu Dian. "I've never heard of the Li clan having any sort of background. Moreover, that Duanling Tian is only a disciple with another surname that came from a branch family. He's just a bumpkin. Since he killed Yu Hong, then he most certainly must die." Yu Dian's eyes flickered and his tone was filled with an overbearing manner. "Patriarch." Meanwhile, the Yu clan disciple spoke once more. 10 days ago, when I arrived at Aurora City to investigate Duanling Tian, I found out that he left Aurora City by wagon 2 months ago and is heading for the Imperial City. By wagon? He really does know how to enjoy. Yu Xiang sneered as his eyes flickered with killing intent that seemed to be able to swallow anyone it targeted. "Big brother, I want to take revenge for my son with my own 2 hands." Yu Li looked at Yu Dian with a slightly agitated expression. Yu Dian stood up and spoke resolutely. "Don't worry, second brother. I'll take you to see the Grand Elder right away, and I'll ask the Grand Elder to accompany you on this journey. There's only a single road heading from Aurora City to the Imperial City, and since he's traveling by wagon, he couldn't have gotten far. You can easily catch up to him by riding on Fergana horses." "Grand Elder?" Yu Li's gaze abruptly shone. Their Yu clan's Grand Elder was the 4th nascent soul stage powerhouse in their Yu clan besides the 3 Supreme Elders. Having a nascent soul stage powerhouse accompanying them would allow their trip to have certain success. "Father, I recognize that Duanling Tian, so I'll follow along." Yu Xiang was extremely agitated as well, and his chest rose and fell like a bellows. Yu Li hadn't even said a word when Yu Dian had already agreed. "Xiang, don't worry. Uncle will prepare a Fergana horse for you as well. At that time, I'll let you see for yourself how the Grand Elder and your father take revenge for your brother, even to the extent that the Grand Elder can capture that Duanling Tian alive and let you deal with him yourself." "Thank you, uncle. Thank you, uncle." Yu Xiang's face flushed. Thinking about how Duan Ling Tian would soon die at his hands caused his mood to be excited to the point where he was unable to calm down for a long time. An antique-styled small town seemed to transform into a peaceful drawing under the gentle light of the setting sun, relaxing the mind of anyone with but just a glance. A large wagon pulled by 5 large horses entered the small town and stirred up a sensation. Oh my God! What a large wagon! I wonder where this great figure came from. The residents of the small town had never once seen such an extravagant wagon, so they stopped and looked. The middle-aged wagon driver slightly turned his head and said towards the carriage, "My liege, we've entered the town." A lazy voice sounded from within the carriage, as if only just having woken up. "Okay, find an inn to stay at, and we'll leave at dawn tomorrow." "Yes." The middle-aged wagon driver respectfully nodded. The people on this wagon was naturally Duan Ling Tian's group. It presently had already been an entire 3 months since they left Aurora City. Under the gazes of the surrounding spectators, the wagon stopped at the door of an inn, and the middle-aged wagon driver raised up the wagon screen. A violet-clothed youth around the age of 17 slowly walked out, following which, with the support of the violet-clothed youth, a beautiful young girl at a similar age to him walked out. The moment the young girl appeared, she attracted the gazes of everyone present. Her skin was white like jade, and her appearance like a goddess. Everyone's minds flashed with the same thoughts, and before long, they were dumbstruck once more. After the young girl, another beautiful young girl that wasn't 20 yet walked out. The young girl had a face like an angel and a body like a devil, causing the men present to be unable to help their eyes from glowing. And before long, another young woman with graceful bearings walked out. At this moment, everyone was numbed. When had they ever seen such beautiful women before? And today at once they saw 3. "Guests, please enter." 2 attendants walked out of the inn and stood on either side of Duan Ling Tian's group as they greeted them into the inn with a respectful and humble bearing. Meanwhile, the crowd of people outside the inn dispersed. Why is it that everywhere we go there are so many bored people? What's so great to look at? Li Fei's beautiful eyebrows slightly frowned with an unhappy expression on her face. During this entire journey, every time they found a place to stay at, she would receive the same treatment and would become the center of attention. "Isn't it because my little Fei is beautiful? This is a type of compliment to you. Why are you unhappy about it?" Duan Ling Tian shook his head and laughed, following which he booked a total of 4 rooms. 1 for his mother, 1 for Xiong Quan, 1 for himself, and 1 more for Ku Er and Li Fei. After entering their rooms, Duan Ling Tian left his own room and made his way to Ku Er's and Li Fei's room in an easy and experienced manner. "You scoundrel, always keeping 1 room empty. Such a waste of silver." Li Fei rolled her eyes at Duan Ling Tian. During the entire journey, whenever they stayed at a town's inn, Duan Ling Tian would book 4 rooms. However, when night fell, his room would always be empty, as he would enter into Li Fei and Ku Er's room and sleep together with them. Li Fei and Ku Er started off with refusal, but that slowly turned to helplessness, and finally they just let Duan Ling Tian do what he wanted. It's not wasted. The biggest use of that room is to mislead others. Duan Ling Tian laughed slyly as his eyes swept around the delicate bodies of the 2 beauties without restraint. "Young master, you're misleading madam, right?" Ku Er blushed as she spoke. "Ku Er, you've been led astray by little Fei." Duan Ling Tian shook his head and laughed bitterly. That pure and cute little maid girl of his seemed to have disappeared forever. "Pei, if anyone is being led astray, then you are surely the scoundrel that led us astray." "Scoundrel, I'm planning to go buy a veil with little sister Ku Er. Do you want to follow us?" Li Fei asked Duan Ling Tian. Obviously, Li Fei was unwilling of being the center of attention. "Why do you want to buy a veil? You two don't have anything to hide." Duan Ling Tian's thoughts were completely different from Li Fei's. As far as he was concerned, the beauty of a woman was meant to be shown, and there was no need of concealing anything. They weren't thieves after all. "Humph. If you aren't accompanying us, then we'll go by ourselves." "Are you kidding? How could I, the escort, not follow the 2 of you when you want to go out? Let's go." Duan Ling Tian took the lead and left the room before walking out of the inn. Li Fei and Ku Er walked shoulder to shoulder with him on either side. The sky had already dimmed down, and the roads in the small town were lit up brilliantly and radiantly. The night market was extremely lively and filled with a bustling stream of people. Duan Ling Tian's group of 3 naturally attracted the gazes of many people as they walked by, and just at this moment, at the corner ahead of the road that Duan Ling Tian's group of 3 were walking on, an over 20-year-old embroidered-clothed young man was walking over with 2 of his family servants. I heard that a wagon that was pulled by 5 horses entered the town today. Is this true? The young man in embroidered clothes abruptly asked the 2 servants behind him. Yes, young master. I was at the scene at that time. One of the servants hurriedly nodded, and as he recalled the scene from before, he felt shock in his heart. Those 3 women that exited the wagon were absolutely the most beautiful women he had even seen in his lifetime, perfect to the point he couldn't find a single flaw. The rumors are getting more exaggerated as they're passed on, saying that the 3 women that exited the wagon all had appearances like goddesses. The young man in embroidered clothes shook his head and didn't take it seriously. Young master, it isn't that the rumors are exaggerated, it's true. Those 3 women are absolutely not one bit inferior to goddesses, the servant hurriedly said. He saw them with his own 2 eyes, so he knew that the rumors weren't false. Is it really that exaggerated? Although the young man in embroidered clothes still acted as if he didn't take it seriously, his eyes flashed with a brilliance. I'm curious right now, so let's go. Follow me to take a look at that inn. Young master. The other servant's expression went pale. Those people are obviously of extraordinary background, so the clan probably can't afford to offend them. The eyes of the young man in embroidered clothes emitted a sharp light as he said, Humph. I'm only going to take a look and not going to do anything. Besides, they're just 3 women, a youth, and a wagon driver. Even if they're members of a large clan, if we secretly capture them, who would know it was us who did it? Young master, it's them. Suddenly, the servant behind the young man in embroidered clothes seemed to have made a discovery as he pointed far off into the distance. Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but frown as he was just about to help Li Fei and Ku Er put on their veils when he noticed 3 gazes sweeping over. Glancing over, Duan Ling Tian saw a young man in embroidered clothes around the age of 20 walking over with 2 servants. Duan Ling Tian ignored him and held the hands of the 2 young girls. Let's go. We'll go look at things up ahead. Don't move. The eyes of the young man in embroidered clothes shone as he blocked the way of Duan Ling Tian's group of 3. Although the 2 young girls in front of him had put on veils, those 2 pairs of intelligent eyes and the half-revealed face that was white like jade undoubtedly proclaimed their beauty. The young man in embroidered clothes gulped down a mouthful of saliva as his eyes flashed with a trace of greed. Li Fei frowned in disgust as she snapped, Scram! Hot-tempered. This young master likes it. The eyes of the young man in embroidered clothes shone brightly, completely ignoring Duan Ling Tian, whose expression had sunk as he looked at Li Fei and Ku Er. 2 little beauties, come, remove your veils for this young master to see. This young master is curious of whether you 2 are really beautiful like goddesses as the rumors say. She asked you to F***K off. Didn't you hear? Duan Ling Tian's eyes went cold, and his voice seemed as if it came from a pit of ice, shocking the hearts of everyone present. Normally, if anyone were to take an extra glance at Li Fei and Ku Er due to being shocked by their peerless appearance, Duan Ling Tian saw it as nothing. After all, everyone loved to look at beauties. But the actions of the young man in front of him had touched his bottom line. Meanwhile, the surrounding crowd gathered and started discussing animatedly. Isn't this the violet-clothed youth that entered the town in that large wagon earlier? And these 2 women, aren't they the 2 little goddesses? You can tell that they aren't ordinary people by just looking at their wagon alone. This Tian clan young master actually provoked them. Isn't he afraid of bringing a catastrophe to the Tian clan? Many bystanders recognized Duan Ling Tian's group of 3. Hearing the discussions of the surrounding crowd caused the expression of the young man in embroidered clothes to become unsightly. However, he had no way to back down right now. Could it be that he would have to lower his head in front of so many people? If this were to happen, how would he stand his ground in Raining Valley Town after this? As a member of Raining Valley Town's three great clans, the Tian clan's patriarch's son, the young master of the Tian clan, Tian Guang, had his own pride. Duanling Tian's eyes emitted a cold light as he said, in a cold and indifferent voice, "My patience is limited. I'll give you one more chance. K off. Kid, I don't care where you're from. You have to understand that a mighty dragon can't crush a snake in its own lair. If you don't ask them to take off their veils and let this young master have a look, then this young master won't budge an inch." Tian Guang sneered with a shameless expression. "Little Fei, Ku Er, close your eyes," Duanling Tian said in a tranquil voice. Li Fei and Ku Er could perceive a shocking coldness coming from this tranquil voice. However, Duanling Tian standing up for them caused them to feel pleased in their hearts. What, scared? It may not be a bad idea. Beauties taking off their veils with their eyes closed should be nice to behold as well. Tian Guang's eyes shone. He didn't understand the danger that was about to befall him. Whoosh! A violet sword light instantly flashed out before returning to its sheath in the blink of the eye. Under the night's cover, the numerous ancient mammoth silhouettes above Duanling Tian flashed before disappearing. No one was able to discern them. Ah! A shrill cry full of grief sounded at almost the exact same instant. At the same time that Tian Guang's shrill cry sounded, his body fell over before rolling around all over the ground. At his lower regions, blood flowed out like a fountain, and the piece of meat that was unique to men fell off as well. It would probably be useless from now on. Young master. The two servants' expressions went pale as they hurriedly tried to help Tian Guang stop the bleeding, but they realized that it was utterly impossible. One should know one's own limitations. In this world, you can't afford to offend some people. I'm relatively kind-hearted, so I'll let you live today, but if there's a second time, you will undoubtedly lose your life. Duanling Tian swept Tian Guang with his cold gaze before grabbing Li Fei's and Ku Er's hands and walking off. Pooh! Tian Guang's face flushed from anger at hearing what Duanling Tian said, and he spat out a mouthful of blood before fainting. At the moment before he fainted, he only had one remaining thought. This is called kind-hearted? The surrounding crowd was deathly silent as they watched the violet-clothed youth grab the hands of the two girls and slowly fade into the distance. That violet-clothed youth was too terrifying, actually directly crippling the Tian clan's young master's little bro. This Tian Guang was the only son of the Tian clan's patriarch. They could imagine how the Tian clan was bound to be in chaos tonight. Duanling Tian, however, didn't give it any thought. He patiently accompanied Li Fei and Ku Er on a few rounds around the night market before returning to the inn. Scoundrel, do you think that snake would bring other people to make trouble for us? Li Fei looked at Duanling Tian and blinked her eyes as she gave him a spurious smile. Snake? He seems like a worm to me. Duanling Tian shook his head and paid no attention to the matter. It was only a clan from a small town, and thus probably wouldn't even have an origin core martial artist. As long as they didn't come provoke him, he would let the matter rest, or else. Instantly, Duanling Tian's eyes flickered with a piercing cold light. I'll pass the veil over to Madam. While they strolled around the night market, Ku Er didn't forget to buy a veil for Li Ro. Li Fei looked at Ku Er's silhouette and said, with slight jealousy, little sister Ku Er is really considerate of others. No wonder Aunt Ro dotes on her so much. Even I feel slightly envious. I, however, think my mother dotes on you equally, and she has long since taken you as her daughter-in-law. Duanling Tian extended his hand to wrap around Li Fei's slim waist, and his mouth came close to her ears as he quietly said while breathing heavily, Little Fei, it's been so long since I ate you. Scoundrel! Li Fei blushed a bright red before struggling free of Duanling Tian and fleeing into her room. Duanling Tian shook his head and laughed. He didn't think that this girl couldn't even stand a little teasing. After Ku Er returned, Duanling Tian embraced the two girls and was about to head to sleep. Knock knock. Just at this moment, the sounds of door knocking echoed out, which was followed by the voice of the inn's attendant. Guest, The Tian clan's patriarch and 2 elders have arrived, and they requested a meeting with you. Tian clan? Duanling Tian's brows slightly raised. He let go of the 2 girls, got off the bed, and put on his clothes before heading out. You 2 head to sleep first, Duanling Tian said to Ku Er and Li Fei with a voice-filled gentleness before he left. Xiong Quan. After leaving the room, Duanling Tian was just about to knock on the door of the room beside his when the room door opened with a crack, and Xiong Quan walked out in large strides. My liege, continue your rest. I'll go deal with them. Xiong Quan's tone was filled with killing intent. You don't have to attack so impatiently. I want to see what they want to do. Duanling Tian shook his head as a mischievous smile appeared in his eyes. Duanling Tian met with the Tian clan's patriarch while being escorted by Xiong Quan. The patriarch was a middle-aged man around the age of 50, and beside him were 2 elderly men. At this moment, the 2 old men looked at Duanling Tian with faces filled with terror. You're that Tian clan or whatever's patriarch? Duanling Tian lazily gazed at the middle-aged man as he yawned. Just say whatever you want to say. This young master has to wake up early tomorrow and doesn't have much time to waste with you. You. The expression of the Tian clan patriarch, which was already incomparably gloomy, distorted greatly when he saw Duanling Tian's attitude. Patriarch. The gray-robed old man among the 2 stopped the Tian clan patriarch from turning hostile. The Tian clan patriarch took a deep breath and suppressed the rage in his heart. Only now did he recall that the youth's background would probably not be so simple, and if it wasn't for this, why would he have to swallow the insult and humiliation? Tian Guang was his only son, and now that his little bro was crippled, it would also mean it was the end of his bloodline. The rage in his heart was unsurpassable. What's your background? And why did you attack so viciously? The other green-robed old man looked at Duanling Tian with a burning gaze, as if wanting to see something from Duanling Tian's face. Attacked viciously? Duanling Tian started laughing. Old man, it's easy for you to say that. If it was your wife that was teased in public, I wonder how you would react. I didn't kill him, and that can be considered showing mercy. Based on the way I normally do things, even if he had 10 lives, that wouldn't be enough for me to kill. What Duanling Tian said was indeed the truth. If it was the him from his previous lifetime, it wouldn't even be enough if that Tian Guang died tens of times. What high-sounding sentiments. I'm really curious. What's your true background? Which clan are you from? The Tian clan patriarch asked in a low voice. As long as the youth before him wasn't a member of any county city or imperial city clans, even if he had to take a risk, he would still kill him here and now, as he wanted to vent the hatred within his heart and take revenge for his son. And on this matter, he had gotten the acknowledgement of the 2 elders beside him before coming here. At that time, they would attack together and annihilate all possible dangers. Tian clan patriarch, you really think highly of me. I'm just a nameless junior, not even worthy of being mentioned, Duanling Tian indifferently said. Hearing what he said, the expression of the Tian clan's group of 3 sank. The more Duanling Tian spoke in this way, the more they felt that Duanling Tian was mysterious, so they didn't dare to act rashly. What? You dare to cripple my son, but don't even have the guts to proclaim your background? The Tian clan patriarch asked in a deep voice as he desired to use provocation to force Duanling Tian into revealing his background. Unfortunately, however, how could Duanling Tian fall for these little tricks of his? Tian clan patriarch, I know what you're thinking of. Today, I'll put down these words. I'm only a nameless junior, and I don't have any background behind me. So you don't have to be considerate about a lot of things. Do whatever you feel like doing. Duanling Tian's words caused the Tian clan patriarch to turn angry out of embarrassment, and the 2 old men besides him felt even more afraid. Disregarding everything else, just this composure sufficiently showed that this youth wasn't simple. Then I really want to see how capable this nameless junior is. The Tian clan's patriarch face sank as the origin energy he had accumulated since the beginning exploded forth. In the blink of the eye, his body flashed, and he pounced towards Duanling Tian like a rock that had spread its wings, approaching in full fury. Above him, 10 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form, 7th level of the core formation stage. Patriarch. The expressions of the two Tian clan old men turned grim. Never had they imagined that the patriarch would be so rash. Although they wanted to stop him, it was already too late. They noticed that the violet-clothed youth had a warm smile on his face since the beginning. He stood there unfazed, as if paying no attention to the Tian clan patriarch's attack. In next to no time, they obtained their answer. Humph. A mere 7th level core formation weakling dares to be presumptuous in front of my liege. Xiong Quan seemed to have abruptly disappeared from where he stood, and when he appeared once more, he was already before Duanling Tian. The Tian clan's patriarch's face went gloomy. Wasn't the man who wore a mask a wagon driver? How could he have such terrifying speed? He wasn't even able to catch a fraction of Xiong Quan's speed, and he was perfectly clear in his heart as to what this meant. Bang! Xiong Quan swung his fist out without using any martial skill. The simple punch brought along an incomparably violent energy as it blasted onto the Tian clan patriarch's chest, and the terrifying origin energy within exploded forth, blasting the Tian clan patriarch away. Instantly, more than 20 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared above Xiong Quan. The Tian clan patriarch fell to the ground with a crash. His chest had completely sunken. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and struggled for a moment before completely losing all signs of life. Dead. Origin core stage. The two old men's expressions went grim. Even though their patriarch was just killed by another right before their very eyes, they didn't dare to make any rash movements, as their cultivations were only at the 8th level of the core formation stage. If an origin core martial artist wanted to kill them, it would be as simple as cutting off grass. The two old men took deep breaths as they glanced at each other before shifting their gazes onto Duanling Tian simultaneously. Young master, everything that happened was because of the patriarch and his son. Please forgive us. Yes, young master, you're a great man, and I'm sure you will forgive these lowly ones. The two old men bowed and apologized with perturbed expressions. The inn manager and attendant that stood nearby were both completely stunned when they saw this scene. As a member of Reigning Valley Town, they naturally knew who these two old men were. They were the two strongest elders in the entire Tian clan. Normally, these two old men were like local tyrants that commanded the wind and rain in Reigning Valley Town. But now they were acting like grandsons in front of this violet-clothed youth. I wasn't planning on pursuing the matter any further if you didn't come look for me tonight. But unfortunately, Duanling Tian's eyes narrowed as he looked at the two old men with a calm expression. The expressions of the two old men went grim. Young master, please show mercy and let our Tian clan off. Our Tian clan is willing to pay a price as compensation. Origin core martial artist would be able to annihilate the Tian clan with ease. This was something they did not doubt one bit. Compensation? Duanling Tian's eyes shone, and his originally cold expression revealed a brilliant grin. Why didn't you elders say that earlier? Under the circumstances, I won't be courteous then. I want 1 million silver. How about it? I presume such a small amount wouldn't be a problem for your Tian clan. 1 million silver? The two old men were completely stunned. This youth, what high-sounding sentiments. They originally expected that spending 200 to 300,000 would allow them to buy peace. But they never thought that the violet-clothed youth would actually ask for 1 million right off the bat. The Tian clan was only a small clan within a small town, and thus it was far from being able to compare itself in terms of resources to the clans of those large cities. Although the Tian clan was able to produce 1 million silver now, this would cause great damage to their financial status. They were just about to open their mouths and beg for leniency when Xiong Quan accompanied these two elders. Return once you get the silver, but don't stir up any trouble. Duanling Tian beat them to the punch by issuing an order to Xiong Quan first. After he finished speaking, Duanling Tian yawned before waving his hand in dismissal at the two old men. I'm returning to sleep. Thank you, Tian clan, for your generous gift. Duanling Tian left after he finished speaking. The two Tian clan elders glanced at each other with helpless and bitter expressions. It would look like they wouldn't be able to save those 1 million silver. Now they wished for nothing more than to squeeze Tian Guang to death. If it wasn't for that kid, the Tian clan wouldn't have to lose 1 million silver for no reason. They secretly determined in their hearts out of rage that once this matter is over, they would surely severely punish Tian Guang as a warning towards the others so as to avoid another similar incident from happening in the Tian clan. Let's go. Xiong Quan's cold and indifferent gaze descended upon the two old men, causing them to shiver as they respectfully led the way. Oh my God! What sort of great figure has come to our inn? The inn manager fiercely swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He had decided in his heart that when the violet-clothed youth came to check out tomorrow, he would return all the room fees to him. At dawn, as the world awoke and the first ray of sunlight shone onto the land, a large wagon pulled by 5 large horses dashed out of Raining Valley Town, continuing its journey on the road towards the Crimson Sky Kingdom's imperial city after a night. Splash! In the carriage, as Duanling Tian weighed the stack of silver in his hand, a brilliant smile appeared on his face. I never expected money to come so easily. Currently, the silver in his possession had already passed the threshold of 10 million. Tian, where'd you get all this silver? Li Ro frowned with a questioning expression. She only saw Xiong Quan pass all of this silver to Duanling Tian, but didn't know what had happened, nor where the silver came from. Aunt Ro, it's surely from him blackmailing that Raining Valley Town's Tian clan. Li Fei covered her mouth as she lightly laughed. Although she didn't see exactly what happened last night, when Xiong Quan passed the silver over to Duanling Tian and mentioned the Tian clan, it wasn't difficult for her to link everything together. When Li Ro found out about the entire sequence of events, she couldn't help but shake her head and laugh. That Tian Guang really went for wool but came home shorn. But Tian, who exactly is that Xiong Quan, and why would he acknowledge you as his liege? Seeing that Xiong Quan was able to terrorize the entire Tian clan, Li Ro realized that Xiong Quan was no ordinary person. Duanling Tian's brows slightly knit as he slowly explained, Mom, he was captured by others as a slave and I coincidentally saved him, so he acknowledged me as his liege. He could still get caught as a slave even with his strength? Li Ro was puzzled and at the same time came to an understanding as to why Xiong Quan wore a mask. It turned out to be a means to cover his slave's brand. He was poisoned earlier and only had the strength at the 9th level of the body tempering stage. I saved him and then helped him cure the poison. He currently has recovered his strength to the nascent soul stage. Duanling Tian lied on Ku Er's jade thighs and ate the grapes Ku Er fed him while speaking unclearly. Nascent soul stage? At this moment, it wasn't only Li Ro. Even Li Fei was dumbstruck. Although Li Fei was aware that Xiong Quan's strength was formidable, she never expected him to be so strong. Nascent soul stage. Such a cultivation was already not one bit inferior to the supreme elders of the 3 great clans of Aurora City, and it caused her to be deeply shocked. Only Ku Er wasn't really surprised and maintained calm as she removed the skin off the grapes and set them inside Duanling Tian's mouth one by one. In her heart, there wasn't anything that the young master she adored wasn't capable of. No wonder you dealt with the matter of the Fresh Breeze Townfong family so easily. Li Ro finally understood, and the questions in her heart were finally answered. I really never imagined that Xiong Quan was a nascent soul stage powerhouse. Li Fei only came back to her senses a long time later. Isn't it only a nascent soul martial artist? Do you need to be so surprised? Duanling Tian glanced at Li Fei before slowly saying, Little Fei, as long as you seriously cultivate the galactic star technique, it won't be difficult for you to step into the nascent soul stage within 5 years. Only now did Li Fei recall that the galactic star technique that she cultivated was a top cultivation technique that could be cultivated all the way to the Martial Emperor stage. Adding on to that the high-purity medicinal pills that Duanling Tian refined, her cultivation would rise at an extremely quick pace. Tian, can we rely on that Xiong Quan? Compared to Li Fei, Li Ro thought over things more thoroughly, and her beautiful face was serious and slightly worried. As far as she was concerned, having a powerhouse at your side was no different than a double-edged blade. Mom, don't worry, I've taken that into account. Duanling Tian lightly smiled. He naturally knew what his mother was worried about, and it was nothing other than worrying that Xiong Quan would go against him. Unfortunately, however, Xiong Quan's life was currently within his grasp, and in the entire world, only he was capable of curing the poison that he gave Xiong Quan. That poison was a special formula unique to the Rebirth Martial Emperor, who was a royal-grade alchemist at the time. When Duan Ling Tian's group left, the entire Tian clan's atmosphere was extremely depressed. Their patriarch had died. Father. When Tian Guang awoke and noticed that his little bro was gone, he already took a heavy blow. Now hearing that his faster had been killed caused his to emit a cry full of grief, and it was so hard on him to take the two blows so suddenly that he blacked out again. He understood that with his father dead, it would also mean that the status of the Tian clan would suffer a great decline. After a few days, Tian Guang, who had just recovered with great difficulty, was carried off to the punishment hall by a few Tian clan disciples and was beaten 100 planks as punishment in front of everyone in the Tian clan. As he blacked out from pain, he heard the voice of the Grand Elder. Tian Guang brought calamity unto our Tian clan. Abiding by the orders of the two guardian elders, he was given a special punishment here. In the future, if anyone makes this same mistake, they will receive the death punishment as stated in the laws of the clan. When he awoke once again, Tian Guang was extremely dispirited and his eyes flickered full of regret. Never had he imagined that one decision from that night would cause him to fall into such a state. If the heavens were to give him another chance to redo that night, even if he had to abandon his pride and kowtow 10 times to that violet-clothed youth, he would still want to plead for forgiveness from the violet-clothed youth. Now he didn't have anything left, let alone pride. Tian Guang, the Grand Elder requested your presence in the audience hall. Just at this moment, a voice sounded from outside and caused Tian Guang's face to turn pale. After arriving at the audience hall, Tian Guang directly knelt before the Grand Elder and held onto the Grand Elder's legs, and he cried, "Grand Elder, I know my mistakes. I really know my mistakes. Don't punish me. Don't punish me anymore. Please, please." The Tian clan's Grand Elder frowned, and his expression was slightly unsightly as he looked over to the 3 people nearby. He said, in embarrassment, "3 respected guests, excuse this scene." Subsequently, his face sank as he kicked Tian Guang away. "Tian Guang, I didn't bring you here today to punish you. Besides the 2 guardian elders, only you are familiar of the appearance of the violet-clothed youth from the other day. Now, describe in detail the appearance of that violet-clothed youth to the 3 respected guests." When Tian Guang heard that he wasn't brought here to be punished, he finally caught his breath, and only now did he notice that there were 3 more people inside the audience hall. An elderly old man, a middle-aged man, and a young man around the age of 20. "You all, what's the relationship between you all and that violet-clothed youth?" Tian Guang asked, in a slightly nervous manner. He was really scared that these people were related to that violet-clothed youth. He thought that they were here to take action for the violet-clothed youth. If that was the case, then he would really be misfortunate to the utmost extent. He's an irreconcilable enemy of ours, and the reason we're here is precisely because we're chasing after him with the objective of killing him," the 20-year-old young man said, with a voice filled with ruthlessness and hatred. Hearing what he said caused Tian Guang's eyes to shine, following which he seemed to recall something and his eyes dimmed back down. "It's of no use. There's an origin core martial artist protecting him. Even my father, the patriarch, died in his hand." "Origin core stage?" The young man laughed in disdain. "It's only an origin core martial artist. What's there to be feared? This person beside me is our Yu clan's Grand Elder, an existence at the nascent soul stage. A mere origin core martial artist would die with just a flip of the hand of the Grand Elder." Nascent soul stage? Tian Guang was shocked. The Tian clan Grand Elder's pupils constricted, and he only reacted after a short moment. "Yu clan? Nascent soul stage? You all wouldn't be from Swallow Mountain County's County City's Yu clan, right?" Tian Guang's gaze shone once more, like a starry sky in the night sky, as he looked at the young man as if looking at the last life-saving straw he could clutch onto. "Yes, we're from the Yu clan. This is our Yu clan's Grand Elder, and this is my father, the Yu clan's second elder." The young man haughtily raised his head as he enjoyed the gazes full of reverence from the 2 Tian clan members. So it's the Yu clan's Grand Elder, Second Elder, and Young Master. Please forgive this Tianlin for not entertaining you properly. Tianguang, hurry and get the kitchen to prepare a grand banquet. I want to properly entertain our guests. The Tian clan Grand Elder Tianlin looked at Tianguang as he ordered. Yes, yes. As Tianguang hurriedly stood up, his eyes flickered brightly in agitation. Father, someone will take revenge for you really soon. So what if there's an origin core martial artist beside that little bastard? A nascent soul stage powerhouse has moved out of the Yu clan to kill him, and moreover, it's the Yu clan's Grand Elder. That little bastard will undoubtedly die, and you can rest peacefully in heaven? Wait. Just at this moment, the Yu clan's Grand Elder, Yu Hui, stopped Tianguang and indifferently said, "The reason I came to your Tian clan isn't to eat. Now, describe the appearance of that violet-clothed youth right now." Tianguang didn't dare hesitate as he hurriedly nodded and recalled the scenes of the violet-clothed youth from that night. He described the violet-clothed youth's appearance to the Yu clan's group of 3. Grand Elder, it's him. The young man, the Yu clan's Yu Xiang, had an excited expression. As long as it's him. So if that's the case, he left here 7 days ago. Yu Hui nodded. Then let's leave now. Grand Elder. Tianlin took a step forward as he respectfully said, "The 3 of you have traveled so far and should probably be hungry by now. Why don't you stay at my Tian clan and have some food? It's our Tian clan's honor that you have arrived here. I hope that you will give me the opportunity to provide you with the hospitality of the Tian clan." Yu Hui didn't agree directly, but instead looked at Second Elder Yu Li and Yu Xiang. What do you two think? Grand Elder, since that Duanling Tian has already left 7 days ago, we aren't really in a rush. Let's have a meal before we leave, Yu Xiang suggested. Exactly, we're traveling by Fergana horse, so we can surely catch up to him within 2 days even if we eat this meal. Yu Li nodded as his eyes flickered with a cold light. Yu Hui nodded before looking at Tianlin. Then I'll trouble the Tian Grand Elder. Not a problem at all. Tianlin's burst into smiles. These past few days had been rough to the Tian clan after the death of the patriarch and then being robbed of 1 million silver. The other 2 clans of Reigning Valley Town had already become restless in these past few days, obviously thinking about taking over the entire Tian clan. As far as he was concerned, as long as the Tian clan were to strike up a relationship with the County City Yu clan, he would surely be able to ensure its safety. I'll go instruct the kitchen right away, Tianguang said with an excited voice as he dashed out of the audience hall.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.